Ooh, I'm having problems with Twitter again. I do not know why. I guess I'll figure it out one day. So, anyway, how are you all doing today? It is me, Demetri K, and I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, also known as the Black Yule Brenner. And as you got, there you go. Let it shine, brother. Let it shine. As you guys know, we were not here.
You know what? It'd be real quick. Instead of being like the Black Yule Brenner, it's October. I need to be the Black Dr. Loomis.
I love it. I love it. So anyway, the purpose of the Demetri K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are a great people, but we can always strive to do better. So once again, thank you, Donovan, for being here. Also like to say a big giant thank you to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Not only are you just viewers, but you are participants, because sometimes, I don't know if we'll do it today, but we might. We share the link so that you all can participate in the discussion. All I ask is that if I do not know who you are and you have not been up here before, please show me your face before I bring you up to the big screen so I can make sure there's no shenanigans involved. Also, please, if you do not have anything to add specifically on the conversation, do not click the link. Come back when it is something for you to discuss. Love and appreciate you dearly. So who do we have on here? Freddie B, how you doing? Troy, Angela, how you doing? Dietrich, how are you today? Facts Not Feelings, what's going on? And Jamarcus. So today, as I said, I was going to say, Donovan and I, we usually do our podcast where it's just him and I, but we didn't get a chance to do that today. So we're going to kind of do I guess that right now. Usually we talk about relationships. So we're going to cover that of Blacchyna. She is an influencer and I guess an actress and some other stuff. She is selling her stuff, and she wants Tyga, who is the father of her child, to pay for her legal fees during their custody battle. Of course, we'll get into that. And then we're also going to discuss Latoya Luckett, a singer who was most famously with Destiny's Child. She says this time she will put the man first, or her husband first, because she's newly divorced. So if she get a chance to do that, she's going to do it first. I'll put him first, and I'll show y'all the video to that. So in the meantime, Donovan, what say you?
Hey, you guys, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor. It's absolutely free. And you know, Black folks, we love free stuff. Hit that like button there and like, share, and subscribe. And again, you guys, YouTube takes 40% of whatever you guys donate. So there's a banner scrolling at the bottom. If you really want to help Demetri and get most of the money that you donate, try one of those apps down there to donate to. And that way Demetri gets, more so the money than YouTube does. As you know, we get censored here. We can't say certain things. So why should we give them a cut if they're going to, take a part of our free speech? But it is their platform. We get it. But why should we pay them to censor us and do all that other good stuff? So if you guys have the inclination and just have the extra dough, you could forego your weed for a week or whatever it is. You could donate and keep Demetri motivated to do what she's doing. So let's get into it.
All righty, Donovan, you wilded. Okay, but anyway, y'all. So thank y'all so much for being here. Let's get started with that of Blacchyna and Tyga. As I said, Blacchyna is an influencer, actress, among some other things, entrepreneur, I guess we could say. I don't know how well that's going. But nevertheless, TMZ has reported, of course, it's not a secret that Blacchyna is wanting to take Tyga, the father of her child, back to court for more custody. And specifically, the article says this: Blacchyna selling shoes, clothes, and purses just to get by. Says Angela White, formerly Blacchyna, says she's resorted to selling her personal belongings to keep her head above water, asking Tyga to chip in for their looming custody battle. According to new legal documents obtained by TMZ, Angela says she's selling off her clothes, purses, and shoes through an online consignment store and to friends and family just to make ends meet. Angela claims she's brought in over $178,000 this year from selling her personal items, which she says has supplemented her plummeting business sales. But there's a problem. Angela says it's really just a stopgap measure because she's going to eventually run out of clothes, purses, and shoes to sell. with Angela fighting Tyga in court over legal and physical custody of their son, King. She says the legal bills are piling up on her, and she won't be able to keep up the fight for her kid without some money from the ex-rapper. So her rapper, who is her ex. So Tyga's a rapper who happens to be her ex. Okay. So it says in the documents, Angela also claims Tyga's been interfering with the limited time she has with her son, which is only 24 hours a week. So that's the custody they have now. He predominantly has their child. She only has about 24 hours a week with their son, King. Angela says Tyga refuses to directly communicate with her, share his contact information, or give her an address for where King lives. Angela claims he is also holding important information on the kid's health, safety, and welfare, such as location of the kid's school and prescriptions. Like, okay. It says, however, sources familiar with the situation tell TMZ Angela knows where Tyga lives, and he's been paying for King's private school, tuition, medical bills, and most everyday living expenses. We're told King has his own line of communication with Angela and that he has easy access to her. Angela is seeking court orders to establish consistent and regular schedule with King that Tyga can't obstruct, and wants Tyga to pay over $125,000 to cover her legal and accounting fees. All right. So again, she's wanting Tyga to share some custody with her. She only has their son King about 24 hours a week. Sounds like that's the case with her other child, with Rob Kardashian, that he has their daughter most of the time too. So now she's coming along because, I don't know if y'all been following Blacchyna. She's done this like 180 where she's now a Christian. She's born again. She's not doing certain things. She's taking out all of her implants and all that kind of stuff. So she's supposed to be a new person. But with being this new person, I guess she is now wanting to challenge Tyga in court for more custody. And, she's asking for child support as well. Now, a lot of people are, it's surprisingly, which I don't know why it would be. I've seen a lot of people say, well, she should get more custody, and there's nothing wrong with her asking Tyga to give her more custody and to pay her child support. So anyway, I want to see what you guys say about this, and then we'll move on to our next topic in a little bit. But Donovan, what say you?
Wow, this is very interesting. Now, I am one for forgiveness and stuff and all this other stuff, but people got to realize what you do in your past can still come up and affect you in your future and in your present. It's going to take some time. Like I said, I don't know, what the deep situation is with her and her ex and all this other stuff, but whatever she was doing was enough to the courts gave the fathers more custody and all that other stuff, because it's very unusual when a woman doesn't get the child from the time, they're like one, when they're born up until they're 9 or 10, 11, when the kid gets it, whatever. Because the nurturing of a child is very important. Even though men can nurture, naturally we're not nurturers. So they, it's kind of in the child's best interest to be with the mother in those nurturing years. So it's unfortunate she was having hot girl summer in her early years, and then she finally woke up. But what you did, it had consequences. And so here you are trying to change. It's going to take some time. And, I agree. Everybody does change and they should be given a chance. But you got to take baby steps with this. It isn't going to happen overnight. But isn't this the girl that made $12 million on OnlyFans in a year? Or something like that, Demetra?
Yeah, they said she had made quite a bit of money. So
right. And if she's selling all her stuff and making $100-something thousand a month or whatever the deal is, my question is this, and I'm just using my logic. You made a significant amount of money there. You got Rob Kardashian and all this other stuff going on, with you, whatever. Where is the money going? That's my question is, it's like, what kind of lifestyle are you living where you can't live off $100,000 a month? So, let's hear what everybody else has to say. Like I said, maybe it's none of my business and maybe it isn't. But the thing is, though, if you can't afford it, you just can't afford it. I mean, $100,000 is more than most people make in a year. So my question is, where's all this money she made over the time that whatever she was doing, OnlyFans or whatever, where's the money?
So I was just looking. I just realized I didn't have my light on over here. It's like, what the hell? Where is it? Oh, I was just looking, and Blacchyna is worth, from what they're saying. So I don't know how accurate it is at this point, but she's worth $5 million. Tyga is worth $15 million, and Rob Kardashian says worth about $10 million. So again, I don't know how true that is. And hello, Ashley, how you doing? And Turner, what's going on with you? Jamarcus says you don't have the kids, you should get no child support. Honeydew, how you doing? Thank you so much. Yeah, so she's worth about $5 million from what they're saying. But nevertheless, she is asking for more custody. And their son, I want to say, is maybe like 10, 11. So, sounds like it's been that way for some time, that he's been predominantly with his father. And as it said, the father, Tyga, he pays for everything. So she doesn't even pay for anything. She has the children, with a child with him, a day out of the week. So a lot of people are saying, well, this is a ploy on her behalf to try to get more custody so she can get money, right? Because usually, especially if they're in California, which it sounds like they are, whoever has the most custody typically gets the most child support. And with him having more money and making more money, he would probably have to pay her child support if, the orders were swung more in her favor. I don't know how she would go about doing that, but again, stranger things have happened. But also, she wants him to pay her legal fees for her to try to obtain more custody from him, which is like, on what planet does that make sense? So you want this man to pay $125,000 for your legal fees and all of that, so you can gain more custody from him, in turn which he'll have to pay you child support that he wasn't paying before. Never mind that the man was taking care of his child all of this time, and now all of a sudden, because you're washed as white as snow, biblically speaking, and you're a new person, now you're saying, you want to spend more time with your children. But my thing is, why weren't you spending more time with them in the first place? And why? Because I remember a couple of years ago, maybe it was like 2 years ago at this point, where she went on one of her social media and said that she doesn't get any help or something like that with her children. And then Tyga commented, and he says, what do you mean? You only have them like a day a week or something like that, and I take care of everything. And then Rob Kardashian comments right under that and says, yeah, me too. You know how I have her most of the time and I take care of everything. So what are you talking about? So I guess that was her attempt to try to put them on blast and try to make them seem like they're deadbeats. But that's kind of when the truth came out about her. So,
real quick, I mean to cut you off. Sorry about that. But didn't Tyrese kind of allude to this in his situation as well? You see a lot of people don't even realize his ex-wife is on YouTube giving relationship advice, but this is the same woman that is suing Tyrese for all this money and stuff. And he kind of alluded to the same thing. He's like, wait a minute. You got 3 different lawyers to sue me to challenge the prenup or whatever they're going through. You want me to pay for all of that so that she gets $20,000 a month, but yet she's talking on YouTube like, ladies, the money doesn't matter and all this. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a minute, you want me to pay all of this, and the lawyers are the ones going to make all the money.
Yeah. Donovan said, I wish more young women would wake up about these hot girl summer craziness. And putting themselves ahead of their children. Yeah, and I think that's, I don't know Blacchyna, but from what I've seen of her, I know she's trying to, turn over a new leaf and all of that. But yeah, you can't decide that now I'm done putting it out there and doing whatever I'm doing. And then now I want to come in and uproot the life of my child, and it's selfish to me for her to want to do that. I know it was predominantly with your father. He's your caretaker and all that other stuff. And now I want to take the child or take you out of your comfort zone to appease me. So I don't know why they've had that arrangement, but it sounds like they've had it for a long time. So it sounds like it's very self-serving on her behalf. Facts Not Feeling says she is dirty to try and get more custody so she can get more child support. Yeah, because y'all know she ain't taking that child without the money, you know. And Guns Tip, how are you doing? Long time no see. You say it's about the money. Attorney says all of these websites reporting the alleged net worth of celebrities are capped. Yeah, I mean, because how is she worth $5 million, but she's selling all of her belongings, or for whatever they may be worth, because she says after a while she's not going to have anything else to sell. I know at one point in time she had a whole bunch of luxury cars, sitting in her driveway, Lambos and Rolls Royces and all that other stuff. So it's like now all of a sudden you selling stuff.
Yeah, see, that's what I don't understand. The financial illiteracy of us as a people. You're buying all these. You can only drive one car at a time. I have two cars, but whatever the deal is. But the thousands and millions of dollars that were just wasted. Was it you that told me how like there's a thing where guys are getting like these $1,000 bottles and just dumping it out because they can? I mean, it's like the financial literacy. And now you need money, but you had it all when you could have saved it. I don't understand how we put ourselves in these situations. You come from the mud and you build it up however you get it. Hot girl summer, however you do it. You're out there stripping, whatever you're doing. You're making the money now, but you didn't put nothing away. You don't have anything now. And now you're dependent on this guy, an ex that has your child, whatever, to save you. I mean, bonkers.
Hi, Bree. How you doing? And I just looked about Blacchyna. It's saying Blacchyna reportedly made $240 million on OnlyFans, and I know that Tyga was not that far behind her because he was on OnlyFans as well. It says it's estimated that she made about $20 million a month. She was actually the highest paid OnlyFans creator. So I don't know what happened to this.
$240 million. Let me give her half of that. You mean to tell me all of that money is gone? All of it. It went to the lawyers. It went to the realtors. It went to everybody else but her and her children. Wow.
Well, and that's what's being reported. So how true it is, I don't know. I'm just reading what I say, what it says here. And then Bree, absolutely right, says this is what happens when you cannot resolve a dispute without other people. Yep, you put the man in your business, right? And you're not always going to like the decision that they come up with, which is why in mediation they'll tell you that it'd be better for y'all to try to resolve it opposed to us, because you may not like the decision that we render. So, but unfortunately, somebody or both parties are not willing to budge. And just kind of knowing what we know about Blacchyna in that situation, I think it's very selfish of her to want to, because I know she was starting a whole bunch of businesses, like she's starting a weave business. And I know at one point in time, she had a line called White Tenacious in Nigeria somewhere, where she was selling skin lightening cream. So she's had quite a few ventures that sounds like maybe they didn't work out as well. And so Bree also say she is no longer on OnlyFans. Yeah, right. Because she has turned over a new leaf and all of that. She's now, big time Christian and stuff. You also say that's why she had the capital. Her change of life to Angela made her choose life over the personal gratitude. So that definitely probably had a lot to do with it. Not doing something strange for the change in the name of Jesus Christ. That's kind of an oxymoron, I would imagine.
Right, but was Jesus Christ a millionaire? I know he was a carpenter. He made good money. He's very skilled, but it's like, I'm not saying Jesus doesn't love people that are blessed and have millions of dollars, but Jesus walked the earth as an average person.
Well, so that's you kind of like proved her point in that, okay, I can't do those things anymore. If I'm, claiming Jesus Christ, I can't be on OnlyFans. You know what I mean? Attorney says she was once royalty at King of Diamonds. Yeah, so she was a big time stripper before she got into.
Wait a minute, I was a lifetime member of King of Diamonds. I don't remember seeing her there.
Well, Chyna is significantly younger than you as well, so she might not have been up and running.
Yeah, I got the old Glodadine, and
Yeah, Hey, Miss Sweets, how you doing? And Turner, you say making $60,000 weekly at King of Diamonds. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Yeah, but I heard she was, quite the adult entertainer in her heyday. And Honeydew says, no way, 240 million. I ain't living right. Pray for me, y'all. Yeah, they said, she was raking in the dough as the highest paid OnlyFans, I guess, contributor. So I don't know. Maybe she's gonna be like, Lord, forgive me.
But I
Let me
mean, what
just go
could you
back one more time.
But what could she have possibly done to garner that kind of money? I mean, she's average to me. She's like most of our sisters. She's beautiful, average, to me, average looking sister. She got herself enhanced, whatever. What could she possibly do to get 240 allegedly millions of dollars and then have nothing to show for it? I just can't see spending that kind of, I can't see spending $500,000 in a lifetime. I can't even see doing that.
Well, if that's not feeling, says Blacchyna, white managers robbed her blind, I suspect. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of things that could be into that equation because that's quite a bit of money to now be selling your belongings, Michael, how are you doing today? Celebrities know, it says celebrities know how to spend money, but they struggle to save money for the future. I think the other thing people don't understand as far as celebrities, they have this illusion of a high-end lifestyle. So they have to pay to keep that illusion going, right? They got these cars and this lifestyle and all this other stuff and all these houses and things like that. So that kind of stuff adds up after a while, but it is an illusion to make us think that they're on top of the world when they're really not. Well, you see a lot of that, especially on social media nowadays with just, regular people. You'll be surprised how many people are living quiet lives of desperation. Donovan say in California, you must go to mediation before you can see the judge. It's mandatory. Yeah, that's true. And Miss Sweets, you say we live above our means, and I personally am trying to save, spend, and budget better. Aren't we all? That's not feeling says for her selling skin lightening cream as a Black woman, she need to lose all her money. Yes, she actually received a lot of backlash for doing that because it's like, huh? And then of course, y'all know in Africa, that is huge, right? Them not even trying to lighten their skin to appear to be lighter than they were born. So she, I guess, was going over there trying to capitalize on that. So I don't know if she's still doing it, but I think maybe she stopped when a lot of people got on her bumper about it. And then Honeydew says that's got to be a lie. 240 million. That didn't come from lesbians. Now, I don't know. Well, I mean, I've never seen an OnlyFans account, but I've heard people do kind of whatever they want on OnlyFans, and people pay a subscription to watch them do it. So I'd imagine she wasn't just saying, hey, today's Bible scripture is going to be coming from the book of Revelations. I'm sure she was revealing some other things on OnlyFans. But of course, how you doing? It says DC is here. Shalom, Miss Queen Kate, and thank you and welcome. Let's see here. Facts Not Feeling says, how the hell can you lose $240 million? It really ain't that hard depending on the lifestyle that you're living. And Miss Sweets, you say $60,000 a week and she's broke, kind of. Wow, kind of like Tamar living with her mom. Ladies, we need to do better. Yeah, that's a whole other situation right there. And fishing with Rick. If I didn't already, how you doing?
Didn't Tamar break up with her zaddy or something?
Sound like you broke up with her.
Okay, got it.
And Buckhorse, she says she crazy. I know her straight from SEDC, Southeast DC. Is that what that is? And if I didn't already, Freddie B, how you doing? He says illusion of wealth. Brother Reggie, what's going on with you? Janelle, how you doing? And happy 50th birthday to you. I saw that you were celebrating.
Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I saw that you were celebrating your 50th birthday a couple of days ago. So yes, indeed. I hope you had a great time. Turner says self-hatred is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. Facts Not Feeling says it shows she is just an opportunistic exploiter to be selling skin lightening cream to Blacks. I told you a lot of our so-called Black women are down with white supremacy. Yeah, She was doing that. It was, I would say, like 2018 or somewhere around there. It was, she had this big old campaign about it going, and then once people got wind of it, they said the same thing you did. Like, how are you as a Black woman promoting that people bleach their skin? For one thing, to me, it's like, okay, whatever. You want to be a lighter person, fine. That's your choice. But to do that, your skin is the largest organ on your body, and that stuff is not organic, it's poison going into your pores. Is like bleach, right? It's chemicals going into your skin to lift your skin to something lighter. And whenever I see people who have bleached their skin, it always looks weird to me. Like Sammy Sosa. I know Sammy Sosa bleached himself, and it's creepy actually. Uh, and let's see here. And Bree, you say, I speak on this always. Don't be the lottery winner who dies broke. It's possible. It's not what you earn, it's how you manage it. The more income we generate, a broke mindset person will spend more than invested properly. I totally agree with you. I was having this conversation with somebody earlier. It says, not, you can make as much money as you want, but if your behaviors are the same, you'll just find a way to spend that money. You can get 15 jobs, and if you are poor with money management, you'll spend all that money and you'll end up right where you were. Because there's people who are making, 6 figures a year, then they should be doing all right, but they find a way to spend it, all of it. So you're right.
Yeah, and there's some situations where like I get offered jobs and stuff, and I really do my math on it, and I'm finding out, yeah, going to work is one thing, but I would pay more taxes and stuff like that. So it's like it's not really worth me going to work for the money that whatever the person would offer me. So sometimes it's you really got to understand, is it really worth the money? Going back, your health, your gas, or like I said, $6 a gallon at the cheapest gas station out here in California, all this other stuff. And I always tell people this about me. The reason why I'm stuck in California is because I own my home. I own everything I own. I'm stuck here. I'm stuck. If I moved anywhere else, yeah, I could buy this and do all that. But it'd be the stress of starting over again, getting all this other stuff. If I want to stay in California, I'm stuck where I'm at. But you really got to do the math.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not what you make, it necessarily is it's what you keep. Yeah, I mean, what you make has a lot to do with it, because you have to make enough to at least sustain yourself. But it's really more so what you keep. Are you out there just spending money, you blindly spending money, not looking into your bank account? And that's the thing a lot of people do, is they don't look into their bank account. They just blindly spend money, hoping and wishing that the money is there, right? And if only a fool behaves that way, to think I'm just gonna swipe, 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 spin, 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 and never once look at your bank statement to make sure that you got the money in the account. That's a fool. And I also understand the science behind it. A lot of people are afraid to actually look into their bank account, because then they have to get honest with their spending, right? Or they don't want that jolt of, oh my gosh, I thought I had more money in there, but I don't. But once you get used to looking in your bank account, you'll say, okay, that's about what I thought I had. Okay, well, let me pull back a little bit till I get paid. Or, okay, yeah, maybe I can go out and buy that new pair of shoes because I'm doing all right. But if you do not know where you stand financially, then yeah, it's gonna get worse. It's just a fact. Myself, I don't understand how people do that, but there's a lot of people who do. So sad situation for them. All right, so let's see here. Bree, you say less is more sometimes. Equity, absolutely. It's the asking the question of, do I need that, right? Do I need that new shirt? Do I need another car, right? I always tell y'all, I have a 2013 car. It's paid off, and I'm gonna rock it until the wheels fall off, okay? I can afford a new car, but I don't want to do that, right? Because my thing is, it's nothing really wrong with the car I'm driving. It looks okay. But me getting another car is just to impress other people. And I ain't impressing people who ain't going to help me pay the car note. And I don't know if y'all have seen lately, the interest rates for cars and everything else is super high. So I'm just not willing to get into that type of an obligation if I don't have to do that. So it's just asking yourself, do I really need Is it a need or is it a want? Especially nowadays. Y'all been to the store and y'all seen how things have increased due to inflation, food, gas, and just a whole host of other things. Even your electric bill or whatever, they're sticking it to the consumer. So now we have to ask ourselves even more, is this a need or is it a want? If it's a want and it may cost me to need something later and I can't afford it, then I'm just not going to do it until I can. So, Brother Samuel, how are you doing this evening? I hope all is well. And Honeydew says you always have a home in Philly. So you talk about to Donovan. See, Donovan, you always have a place to go. Star Child, how you doing? Says the
North Philly. I've been reading about all that Philly stuff. I've been to Philly before, even at the airport. Forget that. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan. I can't go to Philly.
The Star Child says the skin bleaching looks horrible. It does. It makes them look like they just dead but refuse to lay down. You know, it's really it doesn't look good. And I don't know. I was gonna say something else, but I won't get myself in trouble. I just say it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. But that's as some people say, body dysmorphia, and that when they look in the mirror, they see something other than what everybody else sees. So it's just so strange to me. And Turner says, Allah God is going to force our community to do for self. Passive income, residual income opportunities exist. We must divest of the mindset we've acquired through assimilation. Absolutely. We're trying to, we move away from the things that we've learned and trying to be like other people. So you're absolutely right. We are going to be forced to do for self, and we're being forced to do that now. And as I tell people, and I'm sure you guys know, it's going to get worse. This is not going to get better. A lot of economists have said this is just the precipice of what's to come. This economy is not going to get any better. In fact, they said the Feds are probably going to raise the interest rates even more, making everything just that much more expensive. The thing is, they're raising the interest rates. Inflation is through the roof, but they're not really raising people's wages. In California, fast food workers now will be making $20 an hour starting in April of next year. And that's, I guess it's a start, but even $20 an hour in California is not enough to live on. But it'll bring them to about $42,000 a year. Still not enough to live on. But if they have, a husband and a wife, perhaps working at a fast food restaurant full time, then that'll bring them to about $84,000 a year. So they might do all right. But the point that I'm making is this thing is going to get worse. It's not getting any better. Ashley says we don't need child support. I don't know about that. I think there's definitely a need for child support. I think it's definitely the amount that's in question, but I do think child support is needed in some cases. When people could just work it out, then not necessarily. Pamela says, I love California. I was born in California. I've been here in Moreno Valley for 11 years. I love California too. I am a California girl, Southern California to be exact. I was actually born in Northern California. But I know that it's getting hard for people to live there, especially Black people. Unless Black people are willing to, and this is kind of the other thing about us, we don't know how to live with each other. Or I gotta have my own spot. I just can't. But everybody else is doing that right. They're living with each other. But Black people in California, unless you're doing well, you're gonna have to live with each other and start stacking some money. Because other than that, you're not gonna be able to live there. It's gonna be, pretty much impossible. I think Donovan's froze up. Okay, let's see here. And Damon, how are you doing? Donovan says a car is to get you from one place to another, not to live in. Yeah, a lot of people, they flashy, and that's fine. If you can afford that car, then by all means, you should have it. Teacher says guilty of that at one time. I'll spend too much at Starbucks. I'll make my own damn coffee. If it's going to mess me up, Nespresso with a barista works, or is it espresso? I don't know. Works fine, just fine. But yeah, absolutely. I make my coffee at home, and I actually like the mushroom coffee. I've been into that for a couple of months now, and it's pretty good. But yeah, it makes no sense to pay Starbucks. I mean, what, in $5 or I don't know, it's probably for a regular cup of coffee, but all that fancy smashy coffee, Yeah, you're probably looking at about, $8, $9 or whatever for that stuff. So yeah, you can easily do that at home. And Star Child says, just paid mine off. So happy. Isn't that a wonderful feeling to not have a car payment anymore? You can save that money, or if you have other debt, you can now put that car note money toward that and just, pay your bills down. It's a wonderful feeling. Buckhorse, she says, yep, because there's some damn fools out here. You better believe it. In fact, Not Feeling says, in Blacchyna just invested $10 million 2013 and lost the reset of the 240 million at a 12% a year in a fund for 20 years and put that 60,000 a month she made from stripping, she would have 151 million today. Well, you go ahead with the math. I take your word for it. Donovan should be back. He froze up. Michael says, what should be the maximum living wage for Californians? Well, I would say anywhere really in the United States, with the exception of some states, a minimum wage should be about $30, $32 an hour for people to really sustain themselves. $20 an hour is good, but it's not good enough. Now, back when I was coming up and I was a kid, I worked at McDonald's when I was 16. That's who predominantly worked at fast food restaurants, were teenagers. But now it's not just teenagers. It's adults with full-fledged households that they have to be responsible for. And so they cannot, because the national or the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. And in a lot of states, it's still that, especially like here in Texas, it's still $7.25 an hour. So where on earth or in the United States can anybody survive on $7.25 an hour? That roughly is what, I don't know, $50, give or take, for an 8-hour day. I know my math is probably a little off. And then when you do some taxes, they're probably gonna look at about $45 a day for 8 hours. So I'm gonna give you 8 hours for about $45 after taxes. Nah, not me. But that's what a lot of people are being asked to do. And let's see here. Donovan says Vegas foreclosures are hitting high, and that's is a barometer for what's coming. Yeah, foreclosures and evictions are up everywhere. Okay, so let's see here. Panelist says, did you both watch the Republican primary debate last week? I kind of did. It was okay. I was actually, I think, on here when it was going on, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. Sounds like it was a clown show, nevertheless. So I don't know. I may try to go back and watch it, but it didn't really seem like it was that interesting. Trump was not there, and he's like, "Why am I going to debate you guys? I'm running circles around you. I would be doing y'all a favor to enter the debate arena with you." So the big draw, if you will, wasn't there. So it's kind of like the rest of them are just arguing amongst themselves unnecessarily at this point. Buckhorse says it's going to get worse. God said it. His words. You're absolutely right. Turner says if Black people in America were an independent nation, we would be the 11th most wealthiest nation on earth. Our annual spending is projected to be about 1.8 trillion fiscal year 2024 easily, right? So yeah, you're absolutely right. But we give 97% of that away to everybody else. So that's a problem. So a lot of that we can do something about. Damon says facts, there is no soft landing. Get your minimalist mentality on. Black first family. Absolutely. Become a minimalist. Y'all don't know what that is. Look it up, but it's only using what you need. Buying what you need, not all the bells and the whistles and the, things like that. Minimalists don't have, 5 pair of black shoes or, 10 pair of jeans or all of that. They got like maybe 1-2 pair of jeans and, stuff that they need, right? But especially in America, we live in excess and people have more than they actually need. So being a minimalist is the way to go. And Miss Sweet, she says, 2-part question. Is the minimum wage going to increase in the near future? If so, how would that affect inflation? So minimum wage has not increased federally since 2008. they've had some discussion about it, but no real legislation nationally to cause that to be the case. So that's really on the state at this point. I think California is probably California. I don't know what New York is. Maybe they're neck and neck somewhere around there. But on average, minimum wage is about $15.50. I know in California, but how would that affect inflation? I don't know. I mean, it would definitely help people reach it a little bit more. It wouldn't help them overcome inflation, but it'll make it a little bit easier. But no, it doesn't sound like they're really talking about it, which is a shame, especially since we see them giving so much money to Ukraine, but they're asking people to work a minimum wage job for $7.25 an hour. It's insane.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, don't get Spectrum, you guys. The Spectrum's always mess me up. I'll call them after I get done with the show. But here in like high-end city, Chicago, whatever, it doesn't matter how much you raise the minimum wage. They're just going to raise the prices of everything around you. So it's like, yeah, you're making $20 an hour, but the bread was $1 for a loaf. Now it's $4 for a loaf. So, you can't win for losing. Cost of living increases. If the cost of living goes up 7% every year and your job gives you a 3% increase every year, you're falling forever and forever behind. It's just a sad thing.
Absolutely. Michael, I was just looking that up. I have not heard anything about her doing that. I know that, let me see here. So it says San Francisco recipient of public assistance in a city once known for its embrace of counterculture drugs would have to submit to tests for substance use under a proposal announced Tuesday by Mayor London Breed as she faces mounting pressure to address San Francisco's fentanyl epidemic. See, this is the thing, because I know Republicans have also tried to do that, like with food stamps and things like that. And Michael, I know you understand the nature of the beast, what's going on in San Francisco. There's a lot of crime going on up north, specifically San Francisco. A lot of drug use is going on, and the Democrats are in control there, but people are really putting their feet to the fire as far as them being Democrats. And so you got the oh gosh, what's her name? She just took over the Chessie Bolden, the Brooke Jenkins is her name. She just took over his spot. Actually, he was recalled. So she came in there, both barrels blazing, talking about, oh, I'm, going to be tough on crime because he was recalled, partially due to that. And so you have these Democrats now up there who are trying to appease white people. And let's keep it a buck. There's a lot of Asians up there. They're trying to appease them because it was actually the Asians that were leading the charge on recalling Chessie Bolden. So these mayors and Democratic politicians, they're now trying to play ball and say, okay, well, we're now going to impose all these things on the poor. But we know that fentanyl does not just affect the poor. There's been very wealthy people, celebrities, all kinds of people dying of fentanyl overdose. So it's erroneously targeting poor people so that she can remain in office. And I think it's unfair. And I think that she should I think she should lose her seat due to unfairly targeting poor people. And also you got to remember fentanyl, yeah, you can pretty much get it anywhere, but a lot of those drugs, you got to have some money. You have to have some money to do it. So she's unfairly targeting poor people to bolster her name rather. Turner, he says, even if the mayonnaise community gave $1 million to every descendant of slavery, they would have more than 80% back with 6 months. Be ye not conformed to the ways of the world, be ye transformed. Absolutely. He says, with the renewal of your mind. That is biblical. Yes, indeed. And Urban Baked, how you doing? Says, I paid $21,000 for my 2010 Mazda. Once I paid it off, it was worth $3,000. Cars lose value. I'm going to drive this car until the wheels fall off. You and me both. Attorney also say minimalists have mastered the science of procuring need over want. That's what it's about. I'm a minimalist. I always think I could tighten up a little bit more, but I try to just get what I need. And as I always tell y'all, when I go to the store, I'm not gonna go in there and be like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna get this. I'm gonna buy what I want at the store because I believe in putting good food in my body. But other things that I don't need, I could cut back on that. I don't have a problem with that. But and pretty soon everybody's going to become a minimalist, and it's not going to be by choice.
Yeah, but isn't it sad? It takes all of this crap happening for us to realize a want over a need. How we don't know the difference, what you need versus what you want. But everybody's got it confused. It's kind of like the same thing as when people think, oh man, I'm worth $1 million because my house is $800,000 that I owe. My car is $40,000 that I owe. And all my bills is another, $80,000. So I think I'm worth $1 million. No, fool, you owe over $1 million. You're in debt. You're a slave, period. What you owe or what you worth is what you have in the bank. Solid.
And Donovan, you say federal minimum wage is $7.50 to $7.25.
Yeah, $7.25. That's
$7.25. Okay. Let's see here. And Miss Sweets, she says drug testing in California is counterproductive. Yeah, and it's mean spirited, and it's to appease the people who are wanting something done about the crime. And so now they're just going to try to put it on the backs of the poor, and it's not right. And London Breed is a Black woman, if you guys didn't know that, and she needs to go. And those cities are most of those cities that are crime ridden are Democratic cities, and yes, those are some of the policies that they created. But you don't get to demonize the poor people or low income people or whatever, so that you could try to save your seat. That's evil, actually. Attorney says out of the $285 billion given in aid to Ukraine, a majority of it is being used to pay the salaries of first responders. I don't know exactly the dynamics of it, but I take your word for it. And Sound Man, how are you doing? He says, big up yourself, Mama and Sarah. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. And Damon says it's beyond sad. Them folks set this crap in motion with the economy. They sure did. And Biden sitting up the top about it's great. But with the infrastructural bill, we're able to do this and turn things around. It's like, stop it. Okay, nobody believes you.
Right. The infrastructure bill only benefits people who have infrastructure building companies and corporations. So if you don't have a infrastructure company, how do you benefit? I mean, I know there's some Black infrastructure companies, but like a lot of people will tell you, the Black person bids, there's always going to be another company that's going to underbid that Black person, and they're going to give the contract to their brother, their friend, their cousin, their brother-in-law, or somebody. We don't have enough of our businesses to compete for these contracts. In my city, every contract to do basic maintenance in the parks goes to Hispanics. A lot of the city contract, there's almost no Black city contracts with my city with any Black company. How do I know that? I FOIA'd the information, looked at the demographics of the contracts with the city. There are almost zero Black contracts given out by the city, and this city has a lot of money.
And Janelle, you say, I say bring back mental asylums. Most of these criminals are really mentally ill. I say turn some of those prisons into mental institutions. Yeah, I mean, I think definitely some mental health is definitely needed. But I will say a lot of those people that are on the streets probably got that way from being on the street, right? So I think we should try to, because mental asylums is not really a great place to be. Sure, there are people who should be there, but I think most people just need somebody to talk to and some resources and a helping hand, and I think they would be all right. But a lot of people, I think, end up going crazy. I hate to use that word, but having mental issues while being exposed that way. And Jose, how you doing? You say beautiful. I mean, Black people are beautiful. Yes, well, thank you so much.
Yes, and didn't we say last show that just going through the homeless process, just being like in that motion of doing it, also triggers a mental illness? Because once you fall into it, the despair, there's like stages to it as you go through it, and then it gets worse and worse because you can't seem to dig yourself out of the situation you're in. You're not getting the resources, you're not getting the help from the government, and it kind of puts you in a state of mental illness because now you're in a situation where you can't seem to have anybody help you, and you don't. So
it's really a vicious cycle. And Michael, you say, would you say that Mayor London Breed is targeting her own people, even though they do not make up the majority in her city? You know that she is. Y'all know that they are making Black people the boogeyman, especially in San Francisco. They are. So, of course, she's doing that because she knows that, as you said, Black people in San Francisco and California in general, or anywhere, are a very small majority. And so she knows that nobody is really going to be demonstratively mad about her doing that, but she's really, and she's appeasing racism is what she's doing. She's appeasing white supremacy and targeting her own people because Black people, as I said, have been made the boogeyman. So yeah, she's using her own people to save her own hide, and she needs to go.
Yeah, but that's how you get your bag. You blame everything on Black people. Like I said, look at all the politicians. Look at all your Black representatives. Why are they living in nice houses and you're living in Beirut? Think about it.
Who done it? How you doing? He says, wasn't Blacchyna making millions, shaking tail on OnlyFans? She was, but you know, she turned into a Christian, and so it's in direct opposition to her belief. So I believe that's partially why she stopped. I'm not sure why she doesn't have the money anymore. It'd be interesting to find out.
Well, it's funny. Isn't it funny? Like I said, I'm a Catholic, which is a form of a Christian, but you know, when you are really following the word, you're gonna, you know, go through some stuff. Because if you believe in that stuff, didn't Jesus tell Peter and all the disciples, leave what you're doing and follow me? And a lot of people, there was one scripture, I'm not an expert, but there was one scripture where he went to this one person. He was like, oh, Jesus, I love you. I want to do this. And what did Jesus tell him? Drop all your stuff and follow me. And the guy couldn't do it because he had, you know, riches of himself. He couldn't do it. And so being a Christian be a true Christian is one of the hardest things to do, because you're going to have to leave your former life behind. And you might have to be, you know, destitute, you know, before you rebuild yourself. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And Fishing with Rick, you say, if these people wanted fentanyl to stop tomorrow, it would happen. These people made the entire world stay in a house for 2 years. The powers that be want drug epidemics because it's profitable. It's absolutely, they want it until especially it starts to affect them mostly. So you're absolutely right. Mike, you also say, do you think that London Breed is targeting low-income people who are Black? She absolutely is. She is. And she, as I said, she needs to go. Facts Not Feelings says, fun fact, as we speak about poverty and falling behind in USA, China over the last 40 years raised 800 million out of abject poverty with its poverty alleviation program, but it gets better. Okay, so I think you're going to add on to that. And our daddy, and you say, and how you doing, by the way? I think that's 1 and 2 generational politicians are ruining America. What do you think? So you think that 1 and 2 generational politicians. So you're talking about the baby boomers and a silent generation, because that's kind of, it's not
those are the people in power.
Yeah, but not all of them, but there are a lot, you know, like James Clyburn. I want to say Maxine Waters, Mitch McConnell,
Sheila Jackson Lee, all of them.
Yeah, they're the silent generation, the generation before the baby boomers. And as we've seen with Senator Feinstein from California, who just died on the seat. And up until she died, she was still ruling and voting and all that kind of stuff. But she gave up the ghost on the seat. So you're absolutely right. And they're trying to legislate from antiquated ways and things, the way they used to do things back in the day, refusing to concede power to the younger generation. So yeah, they're definitely helping to ruin America.
And you know, we talk about youth and age and stuff. Everybody sees what's going on. Maxine Waters is 85 years old. Sheila Lee, whatever her name is.
Sheila Jackson Lee.
No, not. What's the other one? Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee. She's 77 years old. Sheila Jackson Lee's got to be in her 70s. I mean, look at the numbers of these people, and it's going to tell you the problem that we have in America is that these people will not give up power. They are going to die on the seat. It's as simple as that. People talk about Joe Biden being 80 years old. Donald Trump is only 3 years younger than Joe Biden. So you're basically doing, let's say Trump gets back in there. You're swapping this for that. It's the same thing. And we know both parties are the same. So you got an old person in there versus an old person. That's the problem in America.
Turner, you said pick up your own cross and deny yourself. Then one is a follower of Yeshua, the Christ. We are what we practice, not what we profess. I love it. You're absolutely right. Okay, so you're talking to Facts Not Feelings. And Ashley, you say all of these programs benefit white people. Very true. Fishing with Ricky says, so you're talking to Mike. Turner says, you already know, Donovan. And Janelle, you say, what about the middle class? Also, we hear about is helping the poor. You say, it said all we hear about is helping the poor. The middle class is trying hard to survive inflation and recession so we don't become poor and destitute. Yeah, the middle class is almost done. If you know, if you been following the trends and seeing what's going on, the middle class is almost non-existent.
Almost. I think it's gone. I mean, either you got the money or you don't. There is no middle ground anymore. It's done.
In a lot of cases, the numbers that came out not too long ago saying what middle class is, and a lot of people are far below that. So yeah, the middle class is kind of not there, but you're absolutely right. People do talk about the poor, helping the poor. And then of course you talk about how the rich continue to get rich, but it is the middle class that actually drives the economy, because within that middle class, you're probably going to have a lot of businesses, mom and pop businesses, entrepreneurs, those type of things. And they, do a lot of hiring of what you call the proletariat. I guess, well, proletariat is kind of like the working class. And then, under that, but the middle class, those are the ones that really drive the economy. So, and also I would venture to say a lot of people in the middle class also have a lot of student loan debt. That if that would be paid off, then they would, of course, put that money right back into the economy, because right now, a lot of people aren't making any major moves for a whole host of reasons. But yeah, the middle class definitely needs a shot in the arm as well. Let's see here. Turner says power concedes to nothing but power. Absolutely. And our daddy says Donald Trump. Are you saying Donald Trump needs to get back into the White House? Is that what you're saying? And Turner says middle class is a facade demographic. There's only poor and wealthy. You can fool yourself if you choose to. Yeah, the middle class it's pretty much done, and it's sad, but it is. Urban Baker says politics are so corrupt, and where are the younger politicians? They unfortunately are being kept down by the older generation. Yeah. And I'm 52 years old, and it's now I'm too old really to be in office. It should be to my daughter's generation. She's 30, so it should be their generation that's now taking the throne per se. But those old cooters have sat on the seat for so long to where they're dying, where we see them. They're like, yeah, they're freezing up. They don't know what Joe Biden the other day, he was like, yeah. So, so it's like, and I'm not trying to make fun of anybody who is older and they have some cognitive issues. I'm not trying to make fun of them, but it's like, it's so selfish. And my problem is not necessarily with them as much as it is with the people who continue to elect them to the office. Like James Clyburn, he's in his 80s. He's going to seek re-election. And it's like, for why? For why are you seeking re-election? For
Nancy Pelosi is seeking re-election. They all are seeking re-election, all of them. Maxine Waters, they're all going to go for it again.
Yeah, and they don't care. It's selfish. And hi, Cube, how you doing? It says China is providing universal health care, which is very low quality and terrible service. So I think you're replying to Facts Not Feelings.
Yeah, but you got to remember, China is a what? What's its economy based on? Socialism. So of course they're going to provide something. Something's better than nothing. Socialism. But everybody gets it, right? Even though it's bad. But we have what we call the ACA. Isn't that a form of socialism. It's not great, but it's what you got, right?
Yeah. And Janelle, you say Democrats hate middle class. I agree with you. They do. They do not want free enterprise. They don't want people like I don't remember when Hillary Clinton was running for office. She was going after Uber and all of the other gig jobs because we do have a gig economy with people who are doing DoorDash, Uber, that kind of stuff. They kind of work when they want, make the amount of money that they want. They were going after that, trying to make them W-2 employees, and they're like, wait a minute. Stay up out our business, because if we're W-2, then they're going to make us come in at a certain time and do A, B, C, and D. With the way we are now, we are working at our own convenience for whatever reason. Maybe we don't want to go punch a regular clock. Maybe it's more convenient for childcare or whatever. But during when she was campaigning, that's what she was talking about, going after the gig economy. And so I agree with you. And that's where, too, the sweet spot is for, I think, a lot in the middle class, because there's a lot of people working in the gig economy that's making a pretty penny, which is why they don't want to go punch a clock.
Well, isn't it Joe Biden the one that has had everybody over $600 reporting to the IRS if you make over $600 on your cash apps and all that other stuff?
Yeah, and that's yes. So if you're making over $600, they want to know why, right? But I don't know if he's talked about it lately, but in the past, you heard Joe Biden talk about how he got all these jobs. The labor market is doing well. It's robust. It was like, come on, man, keep it a buck. We ain't talking about Taco Bell jobs and Amazon jobs and stuff like that. That's what you're talking about. And so what they're trying to do is, because during the pandemic, you had a lot of people that were making money in the stock market, right? Trump was still in office. A lot of people were making money in the stock market. And all the cryptocurrency and all of that. Now, miraculously, with a lot of pun, being facetious rather, that's not doing well anymore. They were trying to stop OnlyFans for a while, and a whole bunch of other things where people are just figuring out ways to make money, because those people that are doing OnlyFans and the gig economy and all that kind of stuff, they would ordinarily be at McDonald's talking about, welcome to McDonald's, man, take your order. But they're not doing that because they're like, and the pandemic actually showed a lot of people, oh, I don't need to go and work for the minimum wage no more. There's other ways of me to make money to sustain myself other than going to punching a clock and being degraded. So that's where the problem is. That's why they're trying to find ways of getting people back into these little rinky-dink jobs, and then they can try to bolster and say, oh, the unemployment rate is super low, and it's like, but you're not telling the truth, though. Those jobs they're not sustainable jobs. There's a lot going on.
No, they're sustainable. You just need 3 of them. That's all.
Right. In fact, my feeling says the most important factor in lifting the people out of poverty is to provide public infrastructure, healthcare, education, transportation. China figured it out and implemented it for its population. And our brother Samuel, you say, is there really a middle class, or is it a disguised name for the poor to accept and tolerate? You're absolutely right. A middle class is it's really non-existent. It just doesn't exist anymore. Rashad, how you doing? And Damon says, no shame, Ms. K. You would make it an excellent state or federal representative. No, I appreciate that. I've asked people, I've had people say, you should run. I'm like, nah. I kind of like being on the side of things because, once you get on that side, you kind of have to bite your tongue a little bit. And I don't really have the ability to do that. I don't even think it's more or less selling out, it's buying in. A lot of people just buy in because they get to where it's nice and warm and cushy and the money is flowing and they get all these favors, and it's kind of hard to, stay on task. Not saying that I would have that problem, but yeah, I've heard that before, but thank you. And attorney, you say James Clyburn, along with most of the CBC, are gatekeepers and shields for the status quo establishment. Absolutely. And they're going to make sure it stays that way until they die, right? Which seems like they're dying as we speak. Not to be laughing about that. And Miss Sweets, you say, that's one of the reasons the middle class is obsolete. The elders won't pass the torch. No good job after college. First-time homes are too expensive to purchase. It's sad and it's ridiculous. Yeah, I actually read an article where it says that children ages 18 to 29 are moving back home because they simply cannot afford to live on their own. And it also talked about how the stigma of going back home to live with your parents is not as bad as it used to be. So you're right. They're getting out of college to do what? I remember when I graduated high school, you graduate high school and not need a college degree and get a pretty good job to sustain yourself. I know a lot of people who got good jobs right out of high school, working for the county and the state and all of that. But and this is why I say too about the whole student loan thing, where a lot of times people like to get elitist about, oh, you guys should have taken out those loans and blah, blah, blah. I know a lot of people for a fact that had to go back to school because the jobs that they worked in at the county and the state and all that, they could not promote up without a degree. And so what they were seeing was people coming in that didn't even really have much experience, but they had degrees. They were seeing them come in and get those big, giant, wages, if you will, salaries, while they are just stuck. They're literally stuck. And I know people who have been in those positions for like 20 years plus, but they could not promote up without a degree. So they're forced to go back to school. And a lot of times they didn't have, extra 30, 40, 50, however much it costs to go to school laying around. So they have to take out student loans. So people don't give that part of things a conversation either. Everybody just kind of gets blanketed in, well, nobody told you to go get no student loans. There's levels to it. So, yeah. Our daddy says Donald Trump is only one generation and the United States. His father was born in another country. Okay. You also say, okay, so you repeated that. Brother Samuel say, Kwame Ture and the AAPRP, All African People Revolutionary Party, we're fighting one united Africa under scientific socialism. Absolutely. And Donovan, you say white folks that are baby boomers are passing 13 trillion in wealth to their family members in their death and before their death. And the other thing about that too is, yeah, they are doing that, but we also got to remember that a lot of that wealth that they're passing on is actually wealth that was passed on and that was passed on and that was passed on all the way from slavery, and they are, a lot of them are direct beneficiaries of that slave labor money that their ancestors made that they have just passed down. So that's part of that $13 trillion that the story needs to be told. So it just is. And Honeydew, you say, we pay for Affordable Care Act. Medicaid in this city actually better and would be considered a socialist program. Free. We pay actually better and would be. I think would it be considered a socialist program? Right, free. Yeah. It depends. So yeah, because some people have to pay for it. Some people unfortunately said that they're paying more, so I wouldn't consider that to be a socialist program. But if you're not having to pay for it or you're not having to pay much, then yeah, it definitely would be considered socialism. But then too, that money is not coming from out of the sky; it's coming from taxpayers' money. So people who are working that are not able to pay for Affordable Care Act, they're still paying into it via taxes. So it's kind of all how you look at it.
Yeah, who do you think is supporting these migrants? They have a human right to housing, education, jobs, all of that stuff. Who do you think is paying for that? The taxpayer. These representatives don't give a damn how you feel about it, especially the Democratic ones. And they're saying that mayor in Chicago, he's going to be a one-term mayor. People are saying, do not put these people here. He's like, no, hell with that. I'm going to do what I want to do. We pay for that. But wait a minute. If they have a human right to housing and all this other stuff, how come we don't?
Facts and Feelings says, why U.S. trying to fight China? Number one, China is beating U.S. and lifting people out of poverty. U.S. is that kid who did not study for the test and tries to rip up China's test on exam day so China can fail. Okay. And Janelle, and you might be replying to somebody else too, Facts Not Feelings. And Janelle, he says, Biden lied about student loan relief. He could have signed an executive order. He sure did. But I almost think they're going to have to be forced to do something. I know they're trying to do it here and there for certain people, but I think they're going to be forced. If they really want to occupy the White House, they're going to have to make a major move and trying to put black women here and do this little small thing there and, you know, this, that, and the other. That's not enough. They got to make a major move.
Yeah, I would say if Biden wiped away $50,000 right now by executive pen, I would have no problem with people voting for the Democrats to be back in office. But the thing is, he's got to do it before he gets back in office. We don't want to wait until, well, y'all get me in there, then I'll do it. When a president is on his second term, he doesn't have to do shit because he's not running anymore. So we're not going for that. We get me in the office stuff anymore. Everybody's got to get that mindset. You give us the stuff now. Then we will get you in the office. Now you got to trust us because we've been trusting you guys and you ain't delivering.
Absolutely. And Odd Negroes Official, how you doing? Says, why can't we make our own currency? Well, you study history, you think about somebody like Muammar Gaddafi, who was talking about that. Of course, we hear about BRICS now. A lot of nations around the world are talking about doing just that, creating their own currency to help destabilize the dollar and move away from it. But Muammar Gaddafi of Libya was trying to do that, unite the African nations, the African diaspora, I should say. And the Obama administration took him out and lied and said it was a humanitarian issue, but they did not want him. He was trying to use gold. They did not want him to dissuade, if you will, African nations to get away from the dollar. The dollar, as we all know, was the big bad bully around the world per se. And so with this new BRICS currency, we're seeing the United States saying, oh, well, you know, that'll never happen. We won't allow it. Earlier on, they were trying to make a move against South Africa. I guess they deemed them to maybe be the weakest link in the BRICS equation. But of course, that did not happen because they got big bad Russia also in that equation and saying, what up? So there is something like that going on. What it will do, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, and another reason is because they've made a law that you can't do that. They don't want any competition in this country. So, you know, it's been tried several times over the years. John Kennedy, if you guys remember back in the 60s, if you look at your dollars and stuff, like right now, you look at your dollars, it'll say Federal Reserve note, right? We pay interest on paper. The paper is worthless. It's faith-based. But if you go back before that, there was a thing called a silver certificate, it would say on the top. And you could actually go into the bank and they'd have to give you $1 worth of silver or whatever it was. John Kennedy put out Federal Reserve notes. Okay, whatever it was. Yeah, Federal Reserve notes. I have a copy of it. He was killed because John Kennedy was like, why are we paying interest to these bankers when we're the federal government? We could just put our own money out. We ain't got to pay no interest. He was soon killed after those notes were put out, and all of those notes were taken out of the market. And that's what it's about. That's why they don't want us to have this different money, because it's the same thing with the student loans. Why do you think Biden doesn't want to do student loans even by executive pen? Because banks make money off of the interest. He's beholden to the banks. You know, this stuff is deep when you really do your research on it.
And Michael, you said, Demetri and Donovan, are you surprised that I am one of the few AAPIs to support implement cash reparations for ADOS, anti-Black hate crime legislation, and removal of qualified immunity? I would say no, I'm not surprised, because I've run across a few Asians that completely agree with Black people in America getting reparations and things like that. So it's not surprising. You know, we hear a lot about people, because the majority of people in America, other than Black people, are against us getting reparations. But there are quite a few people who agree that we should receive the payment for the horrors that our ancestors endured and what we are still enduring. As far as the anti-Black hate crime legislation, it's time. And the qualified immunity, we know that affects Black people more, as far as police officers murdering us without consequence. So I'm not surprised, but we do thank you for that, because Black people we do need more allies outside of our community to take up the mantle, if you will, and help us. And our daddy says, I was saying that Donald Trump is the only one generation in the United States. His father was born in another country. So that's what I mean by one generational. Okay. I think I get it. And John, he says, America has destabilized the countries from whence come these immigrants. That is very true. I'll tell you guys about the book that I've read, and I moved it. Otherwise, I'd show it to you, called The Tattooed Soldier by Hector Tovar. And he talks about that, about a lot of times we think when immigrants come over, it's mostly because they're trying to take the jobs and all that other stuff, but they don't tell you the story how the United States government helped destabilize their government by training up the guerrillas, the guerrilla warfare and stuff over there, supplying them with money and ammunition and all of that other stuff. And then a lot of times it's planned, but a lot of times those guerrilla units, if you will, they go rogue and they end up terrorizing the people there. So they flee. They flee for their lives. And the other thing that is not told is that a lot of the immigrants that come over here, we think that they're nobodies, right? Like they, I don't know, are just dishwashers or something like that. But the story that is not told is a lot of times those people fleeing from other countries are doctors, lawyers, professors, and those type of things. But they come over here and then they're deduced to being a dishwasher, but they have fled because maybe the family was murdered or they're about to be murdered. So it's a lot, it's levels to it, which is why we should study and read, so we'll know the more intricate details other than the blanket statement of everything. But you're absolutely right, John. That guy from Texas, how are you doing this fine evening? An odd Negro official, you said, instead of reparations, give us sovereignty to be a nation within a nation. We can make our own currency, set our own price on how to live. Well, most definitely, we should get both. I know the Nation of Islam is asking for both. We need money and land, among a whole host of other things. So, because originally it was promised to us 40 acres and a mule, right? So they could and should give us both. And Fishing with Ricky says these politicians aren't that stupid. They know what the right thing to do is regarding migrants versus citizens, but they have unseen masters, and this is what their masters want. I agree with you on that. Totally. Michael, you said, Dimitri, if you are running for office, how do you balance between giving cash payment reparations for Adolf and Black agenda and universal policies? I don't even know if it needs to be a balance as much as doing it. There's no way that anybody can continue to say that there's no money to give Black Americans, descendants of slaves, when they're giving so much money way to every thing and everybody else. And so there's no balancing. You just do it all, right? But the technology in that is they want us to think, oh, well, there's so much we got to do. We got to do this. We got to do that. We got to find a way to balance it. It's like, if you don't find a way to balance it when you're doing for everybody else. City of Chicago alone, they said that their budget for next year is about $200 million, if I'm not mistaken, maybe more. But they said they're in a deficit, and they'll be about $345 million over budget, just due to the migrant situation alone. So they're finding that money to help, migrants, whether they should or should not be here or not, but they're not finding the money to help Black people who are old, the reparations. So like I said, it's all technology to keep us off balance and saying, well, where they're going to find the money.
Well, Dimitra, the Reparations Task Force here in California was supposed to give its report in July. We are now into October, and we haven't heard a damn thing.
No, because they know how distracted we are, and a lot of that is by design. But yeah, they're going to have to make a decision relatively quickly. And the one thing that I would say about Governor Gavin Newsom is, I know he's got some issues, but I actually like Gavin Newsom, and I wouldn't mind seeing him run for president on a Democratic ticket, because I would say that the Gavin Newsom is probably one of the real, true, more progressive politicians that we've seen in a very long time. And he is for reparations for Black people. So, you can't really knock him too much. Also, he just implemented, not that it's a big thing, but it's something to look at. He put a block on banning books in the state of California, and he specifically mentioned that of African American history books. He says, well, I'm blocking bans on that. He's also putting a moratorium on the death penalty. He says nobody is dying here in the state of California because he says I know disproportionately Black people make up the death row, and a lot of times there people are innocent on death row. So we're not pulling the switch as long as I'm governor here. In addition to a whole host of things, he was the first to come out California with the Crown Act. Not a huge deal, but the point that I'm making is that he does legislate with Black people in mind. So, and was also instrumental in giving back Bruce Beach, even though they sold it back, but he was also at the helm of that as well to Black people.
All right, but let me ask you this. California being a Democratic state, no matter, the Republicans have no power here whatsoever. If the Democratic Party is the party of Black people and the party of the working man and all that other stuff, why have they not approved? And I remember when Gavin Newsom did come out and he did say that reparations is more than money. So I don't know what where he's going with that, but I think, when they were talking about what it would cost, he was kind of like, wait a minute, hold on a little bit. So I'm not sure about that.
But that was misrepresented as well.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't really go into it and really didn't care. But with California being a Democratic state, why is it taking so long for them to say, yeah, Black people, we owe you this? I mean, to me, it just goes to show, it shows me that the Democrats are no different than Republicans. They don't want Black people to come up and get what's rightfully theirs, but they'll do it for the Asians and the LGBTQ and all these other groups. So, if people don't see that, I just don't know, because in California, liberal California, everybody gets everything. This is why California, you want to know one of the reasons why California is so expensive, you guys? We've been dealing with the migrant problem since the 1980s. They get driver's license. And I'm not saying it's the major reason why, but it's one of the reasons, because we do help the migrants when they get here, and we have all these different laws. Right now, the northern cities are seeing what happens when your resources get stretched like that. But what I don't understand is, in a liberal state like California, that unilaterally there's no opposition to it, why Black people cannot get reparations here, why we are 50% of the homeless here, and so on, so forth. It just doesn't make sense. But yet we overwhelmingly vote Democrat, even though the Democratic Party is giving us their backside.
So were you asking me a question, or are you just making a statement?
Making a statement.
Oh, okay. I thought you were asking me a question. Michael, thank you so much for the donation. Love and appreciate you dearly for that. And let's see here. And Brother Sammy says, Donovan, that was a drop the mic moment about Biden and student loans. Absolutely. And Jai says, supported the Panthers with arms, recently sponsored reparations proposal to the UN for us to Asian can also ride with us inside versus the whites. And that's honestly how it should be, because we all have the same oppressor. Donovan said 17 trillion is the bottom to pay Black people. So we have to start from the number as a bottom, no less. And Turner, you say JP Morgan and Wells Fargo aren't the shadow government, the Rothschilds, DuPonts, Gettys, along with the Federal Reserve, which isn't a governmental entity, but a private family organization. You are absolutely right. Absolutely. And let's see here. Thank you so much, Fishing with Rick. I love and appreciate you for that. Yes, indeed. Thank you all for the contributions. Jay the Informant, how you doing? He says America is giving Ukraine small business funding. Oh yeah, they getting a bag off of the backs of American people. And being forever 2009. How you doing? He says solution for New York City and Chicago and Detroit and Jackson, Mississippi. Elect Republicans in the executive office, not just once but twice. I see where you're going with that, and I don't have an issue with that. I think, but isn't Jackson? I know Jackson is the blackest city in America, and Brother Sammy, you could probably answer this. Isn't Jackson and Mississippi predominantly ran by white politicians already that are Republican? If I'm not mistaken, I know they have like maybe some Democratic mayors, here and there and stuff like that, but isn't it predominantly run by Republicans already. But I get why you say that, because it's like, especially in those cities, it's like the Democrats are in office and look how it's going. You might as well try something new, right? To get it back on track. Unfortunate part about that is sometimes the Republicans are so far to the right that it could, be kind of dangerous. Like we heard with Democratic Mayor London Breed in San Francisco, she wants to drug test the poor. So it's, a lot of times the Republicans want to do that as well, when the poor have really very little say so as to how the country runs. So I get where you're going with that, though. And Turner says the only private business entity allowed to use the term federal, let that marinate, the synagogue of Satan, as Yahshua the Christ referred to them in Revelations 2, 9 and 3 and 9 are the wickedness in high places. All right. And Michael, he said, Demetri and Donovan, Governor Newsom needs to stop playing lip service to Asians, Hispanics, and whites. He must shift his attention to African-American residents and use executive orders for reparation. Yeah, I totally agree with you. He has the power to do it, but you got to understand too, with Gavin Newsom, I think, and unfortunately, everybody toes the line with Black people. He's got to toe the line because he may throw his hat in to run for Democrat. He very well may do that. But I will say this: I tend to find him to be really progressive and seems to be more pro-Black than most politicians around, even more so than Black politicians. Not a surprise, right? But yeah, I think I understand his game plan. Because of course, y'all know California spent all that money recently to try to have him recalled, and the recall failed like miserably. It was a waste of time. And Facts Not Feelings, thank you so much. Love and appreciate you for that. Said the moment Blacks in the U.S. Implement poverty alleviation for all Blacks at all costs, we begin to become independent of the system. And there you go. Therein lies the issue for white supremacy and the powers that be. They can't have us independent. They need us dependent, which is why, especially with the Democrats, are like, oh, give them some welfare, give them this, give them that, carrot on the string, really is what it is. We can't afford for the have them independent, because when they become independent, then they don't need us for anything. Republicans are like, well, yeah, we want to cut loose all that stuff. Not that it's predominantly us, disproportionately maybe, but not predominantly us on those systems. But no, that's all part of the game plan. So you're absolutely right. And Norris, how are you doing? Says, I'm flying to Mexico, learn to speak Spanish, walk across the border and get some reparation like everybody else, then come back home. I am not mad at you. I know a little bit of Spanish. Poquito. Let us know how that goes. Let's see here. Turner says, you're on it, Donovan. Every foreign class allowed to come here lowers the Black position on the national hierarchy here in America. Absolutely. And Michael says, Demetri and Donovan, Democrats in California are concerned about losing Asian, Hispanic, and white voters because they make up the majority in the state. My strategy is the cost of destruction for the Democrats. Oh, yeah. And Black people are like, less than 6% of the population, and it's getting smaller and smaller all the time. So you're absolutely right. You kind of think about the numbers. It's not rocket science. You're going to appease what there are more of. There's not enough Black people really in California to really make a big deal. And Gavin Newsom appointing a Black woman to the Senate wasn't about Black Californians. It was about nationally. That's what it was about, because what I understand, there were no Black female senators in Congress after Kamala left. She gave up the seat and helped get a Hispanic man in there. But Gavin Newsom said that when and if it came the time for Dianne Feinstein to leave or whatever, that he would indeed appoint a Black woman to that role. So let's see here. Yaya, how are you doing? It says it's hella racist. They're just like Glen Allen, Mississippi. Okay, yeah, that's racist everywhere, right? And the Buckhorse says they better get ready. Slavery, it's your turn. Oof. And Josh says, I'm scared of both Dems and Republicans. He says, I vote for the best, but it's a needle in a haystack. Yeah, because they are both evil, right? Two wings of this, different wings of the same bird. So Absolutely. Michael, you say, Demetri Donner, if you were governor of California, I would recall Gavin Newsom and tackle him hard and allow to issue checks to African Americans immediately. Yeah, I'm hoping that, because Gavin Newsom did say that reparations is more than about money, but he received a little backlash and he clarified. He says, I never said that cash was off the table. He says, I was just saying that it's more than just money. So you could look at it as maybe it was a litmus test to put that out there and see how people respond, or he was just sincere in saying, I was saying there's more to it, in addition to cash payments. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, and see, and to me that statement is asinine, because when you gave the Asians their money, it was cash. You didn't say, well, there's more to it, reparations than that. And like you said, it was a litmus test to put out there to see what people are going to do. Because think about it, why is it that when it comes to Black people and our money, they're always talking about programs? Show me a government program that benefited Black people that we have excelled at. You have government housing. They're out of the government housing business because it became a New Jack City situation. Reparations could only be cash, because if you gave us free education, right? Demetri's already educated, so she doesn't get reparations. It has to be cash so that you can make your own destiny. If you have cash and you want to educate yourself, you can educate yourself. If you want to open your business, you can open your business. If you don't have housing and you got your cash reparations, you can buy your own house. It can only be cash reparations. Please, people, do not fall for the fact that, it could be this and it could be that. Reparations can only be cash. And if you look at the history of reparations, it has only been cash.
Yeah, but our situation is a little bit differently. Because with everybody else, it was cash. But with us, it was more than just cash. It was land, millions and millions and millions and millions of acres stolen from us. So it's more than just cash. It's cash and it's land. And they need to do something else with the legislation as well, because, of course, the Constitution does not benefit Black people at all. So there's more to it when it comes to Black people money. So, because that was the original deal. And as I said, even to this day, the land of Black people is still being stolen to this day. So they got to give us back our land as well. All right, so let's see here. And Damon says, what has changed in the last 50 years or so of voting in this dirt American system for Black folks? Nothing. It's gotten worse. We've voted for our own oppression even more so. And Josh says, immigrants get financed when they come here. We don't. They start ahead of us. Oh, wow. Thanks, Whitey. And Urban Bake says, can you do a show on why Mississippi is the poorest state with the largest amount of Black people? Yeah, I mean, and as I said, Brother Samuel, he actually lives in Mississippi. There's a lot of things going on with that without even really having to do a whole show on it. Mississippi, especially Jackson being the blackest city, as they say, in the nation, it's rare, but it's not. A lot of times the places like that run as a plantation where you have the majority of Black people, but you have white people that are in office, right? So they're calling all the shots. But a lot of times, too, you think about a state like Mississippi, which is what I understand does have a Republican governor, and most of the legislation is Republican. A lot of times they refuse funds that actually help poor people and things like that. And of course, you have to redistricting, redlining, all that kind. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on with it. But the other part of it too is sometimes in those areas, we as Black people, we are not elevate. We don't elevate ourselves in a whole lot of the aspects. The way we vote, sometimes we don't vote, especially on the state and local level, which is where it's more important. So there's a lot going on there. Ja, you say, point, Brother Donovan, already saying that about both parties. You're a funny guy. And Jay, thank you so much. I love and appreciate you for that. He says programs because CBC can funnel the money to friends. They can, and they probably are, right? And then Jai says that too. Amen. Y'all, some bangers. I love it. And being forever 2009, you say reparations be free college education, 10 acres of land, free adult career training. Yeah, a whole host of that. And you know, with money and land, we could take care of that on our own, you know, but they owe us a lot of stuff, not just money. Let's see here. And Damon says facts. Donovan retired in 2003 before the push into Iraq. Wasn't drinking the Kool-Aid. And Miss Sweets, you say state and local elections are more important than the presidential election. It actually is, but for whatever reason, people just think, oh, because you know, I think we hear more about it. It's this big push, and you know, you see all these ads. You see them on the state and local level too. But for some reason, there's more importance put on the federal election, which federal politicians, they only are in charge of things federally. If you know the Constitution, you know that states, their Constitution actually supersedes the federal Constitution in a lot of ways, so they can do what they want to do. So if you know that, then you probably be more apt to show up to the state and local elections. I would imagine. Michael says, Donovan, what is your fondest memory? I'm sorry, what was your memory, of Ronald Reagan in terms of building the military? Thank you so much, Fishing with Rick. Love you too. Please come back and see us again.
Yeah, well, the bad thing about in the 1980s, if you guys were there, Ronald Reagan bought weapon systems that we really didn't need. He spent billions and trillions of dollars on this thing called Star Wars SDI. You guys remember he brought back the B-1 bomber that we didn't need. And in order to do that, what did he do? He created a thing called a welfare queen and cut social programs that helped a lot of people on a regular basis. So the guy was a total dirtbag, racist, and so on and so forth. So what he did was he put Black people, put us back even farther during that time than we already were. You know, so, I mean, he used us as a scapegoat. And if you remember his successor, George W. Bush, he used the Willie Lynch thing to get elected. So, I mean, the guy was a total dirtbag. That's my memory of him. He built up the military during the Cold War, which, like I said, if you go back and look at the thing SDI, it didn't even work. It was a concept. Star Wars was a concept, and billions of dollars that could have gone to education and helping people, school lunch programs, and all that stuff was cut under Ronald Reagan. But during the 80s, I was living in Japan. But I watched and monitored all the stuff that was happening in the United States because my family members, being from Louisiana, and I say Louisiana, where I'm from was very lousy, they were highly affected by those cuts.
Yes, indeed. The Bush campaign was predicated on Willie Horton. You said Willie Lynch. Yeah, Willie Horton.
Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, y'all want to switch gears? We're supposed to switch gears. I don't know how we ended up talking about all of this. We started talking about Blacchyna, then, you know, I guess it was a much needed discussion. Nevertheless, but let's switch gears just a little bit. And Pam is jamming. How you doing? Long time no see. Damon says, and he has a library in Simi Valley. Get the F out of here. Emmett, how you doing? He says, I'm from Hammond, Louisiana. Where are you from, Donovan?
I'm from a town, and I know you're from Hammond, which is near New Orleans area. Is it New Orleans? Or forget me. My mom lives in Slidell right now, but we're all from a town called New Roads by Baton Rouge.
Thank you, Turner. Come back and see us again. We love and appreciate you. All right, so we're going to talk about that of Latoya Luckett, something that she said on a podcast. I found it to be very interesting. Of course, Latoya Luckett was one of the original Destiny Child with Beyonce and Kelly members. She's recently divorced, and she said something that I thought was pretty interesting. So I'm going to play that for you. See, we bring it up. That's it. All right, here we go.
Understand that no, if we get married, they don't come first. It's you. You know, once you become, and I learned that. Like
you said, if you get married, your husband will become priority, and then the children.
That's the biblical order, right? So I try and go by the biblical order, even though that's harder said than done. And I've been on the other side of that not happening twice, And it does interfere a little bit because you're like, when you get married, right? And you become someone's wife, and then there are other things that come before you, you feel it immediately, especially when you've been waiting to be a wife and be first.
All right. So as y'all see here, and this actually came from so this one says "Good Moms, Bad Choices" is the name of the podcast, and then Neighborhood Talk, for whatever reason they put their logo all over it. It's not their original work. It says y'all agree. Latoya Luckett says, and that's blocked out. So sorry. It says her next time, her next marriage, her husband will become before her kids because that's the biblical order. I've been on the other side of that not happening twice, and it does interfere. So she's basically saying that in her previous relationships, it sounds like she's recently divorced or getting that way anyway, that she has put her children above her husband. And biblically speaking, it does say that you should put your husband first and the wife should come first. So the children should not come first. And so I would imagine maybe she's saying that it ruined her relationships, which is why she's not in a relationship anymore. And she said the next time that she gets in one, she definitely will put the husband first. So, Donovan, what do you say about that?
Well, see, that's one of the problems that we have today in society. Unfortunately, I've dated women that had children. The stepfather has really been marginalized. A lot of guys don't want to be stepfathers because you're not going to be number one with these women. I've run across a lot of women that there's a difference between loving your children and being in love with your children. And you're finding a lot of women that are in love with their children. And when a guy sees that and you're looking for a man or whatever, one day those children are going to grow up. And when they're gone, it's just going to be you and him and your husband if he stays long enough. And a lot of women don't think about that. They think about the moment. And I think that's a big problem in relationships today as well. Women do prioritize their children over the new man in their life, versus what I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you take your chances and you roll the dice when you do that, because just like you want the man to put you number one, ladies, in his life, let's say he has kids. How would you feel in regards if you were secondary to that man, in his life? We know children are important. We know that. Why is it that Black people, it seems like in my opinion, it seems like we're the only ones that act like we can't chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. We can do these things at the same time. You can love your children and still have a relationship at the same time. You just got to prioritize what's important at the time. Yes, kids are important. But when you have damn teenagers or kids that are, a certain age that can kind of speak for themselves, hey, you got to start putting that distance and start getting ready to be an empty nester. That's all.
And I would say this: it is not just Black people who are having that issue. So I would say a lot of people are having it, but of course we're speaking about our community that can, for whatever reason, not walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. But yeah, it's definitely if you're married, and I think we should really give that put that in there as strongly as we can. If you're married, that's the way it goes. But I don't think any man or woman should expect another somebody that they're dating, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, to put them before their children. When you set your intentions with somebody, hey, I want to get married to you, blah, 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 then that's when you start thinking along those lines. But I don't suggest anybody put their children on the back burner for somebody that's just, hopping up and down on them like a trampoline, or, vice versa, right? Now, husband and wife, most definitely, they supersede the children. That is the natural order of things. I remember there was a discussion, and I haven't seen it in a while, so hopefully I don't conjure it up, about who should get served first a plate, the husband or the children. And that was really a heated discussion. And I thought, is it really that hard? If you have a husband, he gets served a plate first. That doesn't mean that the children are less cared for or anything like that. It just means that more than likely that man has gone out there working hard all day. And when he sits down, he should be served a plate first, unless he says, you know what? No, I'm good. But I saw a lot of women in my opinion, jack that answer up. Nah, my kid's gonna come first, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, that's not right. And the way it was being framed is, oh, what man will want to, eat before the children, this, that, and the other. It's like, well, if you looked at your grandmama and them, that's what they was doing. Then no food would slide across the table until your grandpa was sitting at that table or your daddy was sitting at that table. Ain't nobody going. There was nobody digging their forks and no food first until he sat down and to where he ate. So I'm glad that Latoya is learning that lesson now. That next time she does get married, that she would, do things a little bit differently. But it's a shame that she has, I don't know, I'm gonna assume, blown 2 other relationships, marriages. I'm out of the water due to her attitude of my children are gonna come first over you. So she says she ain't gonna do it again. So lesson learned. Let's see here. Facts Not Feelings says, fun fact, the reason why white supremacists don't want to pay the household reparation over time is they can take that 14 to 26 trillion and invest it and make money now off your reparations while you wait for a check. And Miss Sweet Talks, she says, the man eats first, the children won't starve, shaking my damn head. Yeah, but that was a serious point of contention. And Urban Baker says, my mom always served my stepdad's plate first. That's the way I remember it too, with my grandmother as well, and my grandfather. And Jai says that was family discipline. And then I see Michael, you're asking Donovan a question. Yeah, but we've gotten into silly season. You must not care about the kids. It ain't no man gonna want to eat first, and blah 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 blah. But as I said, y'all should be in a husband and wife situation. Never ever do that for somebody who is temporary. And I always say, if you get with a man, especially if you have smaller children, so we have smaller children, it's a different thing. But even some of your older children, you get with a man or a woman that's like it's me or your children, then you need to tell them to hit the road. Because first of all, sucker, you ain't put no ring on my finger. Or if the woman, you ain't expressed no interest in being married to me. So who are you to try to impose these demands upon me? But oftentimes we have people who want to be more important in the lives of their boyfriends and their girlfriends than they ought to be. You know what I mean? And let's see. Being forever, he says, this is why a lot of Black women with kids are single and will stay single. They choose to make the Black working man last and eat last. Yeah, I mean, I never understood that. I'm like, golly, this is really a discussion. I didn't think that people could fail that question. It was amazing to me. People were having like deep think tanks. Oh, well, and this, that, and the other, and he ain't this, and this, that, and the other. And, it's like, ain't nobody saying the kids, they worthless. Nobody's saying that. Y'all are saying that. And I think a lot of times with a lot of women who felt that way, is like, you just don't think highly of that man in no way, shape, or form. And even if you didn't have kids, you would probably want him to somehow come last to everything, But I think the one of the best things you could do as a woman is to honor your man is by making sure he has something to eat and that you consider him first. Hey, baby, I know you've been out there working all day. I'm gonna, make sure you have something good and hot to eat. And if we have children, if that pleases you or whatever, you're gonna eat first. If he's all right with, he insists, oh no, let the children eat first. Okay, we're gonna do that, but I would at least get his buy-in. I wouldn't be like, nah, these kids eating first. What you trying to do? Nah, you want to make him feel good. Like, damn, at least I come home to a hot meal and she's thinking of me first, because I'm out there in the world where I'm the last considered. Especially if he's a Black man, he's the last one to be considered. So the last thing he needs to do is come home and be the last considered by his own woman. That's not how it's supposed to work. So I never really got that whole argument. It really baffled me. And then Miss Sweet Talker says married people only. Yeah, I think you should be married, but people running up in a relationship talking about, oh, your kids this, oh, your kids that, oh, you need to get rid of your kids. I don't like your kids. And a lot of other things too is people need to understand, especially if you are stepping your stepmom or stepdad, that it's a package deal. Even if the children are older, it's not, well, I'm just with your mama, I'm just with your daddy. I don't have to, think about the children at all. Because you got to remember, even if you're dating somebody with older children, that man or that woman loves their children. So just because you come into the picture, swinging around your little, 2 minutes of fun or whatever it is, that don't mean that they're going to get rid of and never speak to their children for you. And as I said, if somebody is asking you to do that, you probably don't want to date them. You probably want to stay far away from them because they're selfish. And then if y'all don't work out, you done ruined your whole family dynamics for somebody who didn't even say they wanted to be with you long term. So I don't know. It's just you just gotta know. And Jai says DB knowing. Facts Not Feeling says any woman that feeds her working man last needs to be kicked to the streets down. No mercy for hyenas. And Miss Sweet, she says respect and honor. Absolutely. And Urban Bake, you say to serve the man first is respect him as being the head of the family and as a provider. Absolutely. Because as I said, he getting thought of last in the streets all day long at work. And then he got to come home and fight for the big piece of chicken because you all, you ain't eating from the before the kids and who you think you are. I always tell y'all, as men, why would you even see at first? And I'm gonna really make this a talking point. I really am. A lot of times I'm just speaking from a woman's point of view of what I see. There's a lot of men who get good kitty cat and a good woman confused. At first, that woman, she was giving it to you at 6 ways the next Sunday. You confused her for being a good woman. Then when you got in a little bit deeply with her, you found out that all that she was a good lady. And she had no other good attributes about her. And then all of a sudden you upset and you want to impose all these demands on her. She was like, nah, I'm not switching up. I'm going to do what I've been doing when, I was giving it to you for hanging from the chandeliers. Don't try to get brand new now, But if you had asked a couple of questions, then you would have found out that woman wasn't worth, 2 cents, mentally speaking anyway. So, I just impress upon any man, don't get with a woman that acts like that. She's not going to change. That's who she is. You're not going to change that woman. That's who she is. And you traded, good kitty cat for, peace, essentially. Let's see here. And the Black Rain 303, how you doing? And being Forever 2009 says, met a lot of selfish women and hard-headed women. Now I know why they will die single. Don't want none of that. And the great thing about it is I think we're starting to see a lot of women and a lot of celebrities, not that we should look to them as the beacon of anything, but since they have the platform, it is good to see and hear them doing the 360, like your Ebony K. Williams, your Latoyas, and different women who have seen to be problematic to some degree, and now they're coming to a revelation like, okay, yeah, I might not want to do that again. I might want to do things differently this time because you blowing through the copious amount of relationships because you got a bad attitude, huh? So, and then we also hear the same thing about, was it Jeannie Ma and young Jeezy or whatever, that she was kind of difficult as well, which kind of dispels the myth that the woman outside of the Black woman is more submissive than her. So it's a lot going on there. All right. So no more comments. So anyway, and Miss Sweets, you say, why are there so many divorces in Hollywood right now? It's weird. Because they get together. The only thing about the Hollywood divorces is they're just like us. It's just that you see them more, right? Their relationship is more on display. But they have the same issues that we have, that we just know about theirs. They're not afforded anonymity. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. So we know more about it, but they're just like the rest of us with just some more money.
Yeah, and you also got to think about this. If you're a Hollywood star, it's like a magnet. Two northern polars repel each other. So, a lot of these actors and stuff, these are A personality type people. So two A personality type people, they attract each other in general. But if one person's working here and one person's filming over here, you don't spend a lot of time. They have this, like you said, they have the same problems that we have, but you're also dealing with, people that are probably have the same personality traits. You know, they're used to being the center of attention, or they're used to being catered to. And when that doesn't happen for some people, it's a different dynamic. So, you know, I really feel sorry for people in the entertainment business, because not only do you have problems meeting, you know, a significant other in the business, even if you go outside of that business and you bring somebody into it, you know, like Tyrese's situation, he went outside, he still had, you know, problems in his relationship. And the sad thing about Tyrese's situation, he still doesn't know what it is that he did to do a divorce. So he says. So, you know, it's just, entertainment is just a rough field to be in, to have a relationship. It's just rough.
Facts Not Feelings says people, he says tough economic times are ahead for US and the West. I mean, for us and the West, or for US, I think, in the West, there are a lot of skin folk, especially hyenas, that will throw Black people under the bus to try and get a bag in these days. Yeah, you're going to see a whole lot of vicious things taking place in the near future, because it's just, as Charles Darwin said, the survival of the fittest. And we're really going to see that theory being tested. So, you know, it's
yeah,
we're going to see a lot of things manifest.
Yeah, and you know, it's really sad. I remember the book 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I read that book when I was in 6th grade. To see that actually came to fruition with Big Brother watching, you got cameras everywhere and all this other stuff. A lot of this stuff is going to come to pass, and it's just sad that these books and ideas were written, and they've been out there for years, and people did not heed any of it. And it's, like you said, it's going to manifest itself, and a lot of people are going to suffer. That's why, before we go, I want to say this. You guys know I'm prior military, and a lot of military folks are in there and stuff. A lot of the white guys are there. These guys are, I'm going to tell you, in the meetings that I've been into and the places that I've been into with some of my fellow military people of the white persuasion, they are getting ready for something. They are stacking ammunition. They are doing these things. Now, for some reason, the Democratic Party wants to disarm all of its citizens. So again, Black folks, yeah, we're great. We're this, we're that. Shaka Zulu was Shaka Zulu. You can't bring a knife to a gunfight. I'm just sorry, you can't do it. So what I'm telling everybody is this. If you can legally obtain a weapon, please do so, because something is in the atmosphere. And if you, like the great prophet said, sugar-free, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, because something is in the air. So please remember that. Please remember that, you guys.
Miss Sweet Talk, she says, Toya, speaking on women's submission, what about men stepping up and paying more than the light bill? I mean, yeah, I think that deserves a conversation as well. Yeah, I think men should try to do more than that. But I also know that even if he can only pay the light bill, and that is your husband, he is still the head of the household. Even if he is not making as much money or more money as his wife, he should be anyway considered the head of the household. Money does not mean that he is not able to make decisions and lead as the head of the household. And besides, any money coming into a married household, it should be the combination. It should be both people. It's not. See, that's another thing too. If you're with somebody and you're married to them, and they're like, "This is my money, and where's your money?" and all of that, yeah, it's probably not gonna last, because it should be our money. We're gonna put what you got together with mine, and we are going to sustain this household. So at the end of the day, yeah, I agree with that. The light bill, yeah, and I probably need you to at least pay the water bill, too, or whatever. But he's still the head of the household.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's funny. I don't know if the people are getting civil unions now and they've taken that out, but the basic vows that I remember, and I was married twice, was for richer or poorer. You know what I mean? Obey and all this other. That was part of the vows. I mean, unless you've taken those out and stuff, I just don't understand how, if you got a spouse and ladies, and Demetri will tell you, I'm an old school brother. I'm a traditional brother. Ain't no woman going to pay nothing for me. I pay for it all. I pay the cost to be the boss. So if you're one of those traditional women that believe a man should pay everything, then get that man. But if you got a man that's just like, I'm going to play PlayStation and Nintendo all day, and that's what you signed up for, that's what you signed up for. But if your vows say for richer or poorer, what, you think that was a joke?
No, absolutely. I just think it's I just think it's just knowing how it works. I mean, I can never be married to somebody and talking about this my money. I don't know what you gonna do. You got top ramen money, sucker. I couldn't have, because I would want for my husband, you know, what I want for myself, especially if I'm making the most money. I mean, it just be weird to me to be in a union with somebody and you disregard them over the amount of money that they're making. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
And what happened to the love? Oh, it's about the money. Now you're telling me it's about the money. It's not about you love me. It's about the money. I get it.
Nora says, I wish all Black people would not vote for one cycle just to see what happens. What do we have to lose? I totally agree with you. I am not opposed to that at all. Brother Samuel, you say, Demetri, you are so unique in balancing your comments and relationships. That was good. Well, thank you. I had a lot of.
I've been working on her. I've been working on her.
I've had a lot of great examples to draw from. So, I try to be that way in most everything. Try to be logical. Unfortunately, being logical as a woman gets me in a lot of trouble. You know what I mean? I was actually really logical with somebody earlier, and it kind of took them. They were taken aback by it, and I'm like, well, it's the truth. Whether you like how I said it or not, it's the truth. But thank you for that. And Renee, how you doing? Says that's the problem with these men. They don't want to actually be the providers, but want to be head and make decisions. You can't make decisions on that woman's money. Well, there's a couple of things here. No woman should be getting with a man who doesn't want to provide and wants to be just the head and to make a decision. She shouldn't be thinking that he's an acceptable partner in the first place, right? She shouldn't even entertain that.
Isn't that called pimping?
Huh?
Isn't that called pimping? When the guy doesn't do anything, she does all the work and he's making decisions on the money. Isn't that called pimping?
Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way, but she should, as you know, they say in the nation, you know, go through the courting process. When you go through the courting process, it's not, oh, what's your favorite movie? Oh, what's your favorite musical group? Well, you know, and those ain't the questions. I mean, maybe somewhere here and there, you will ask those questions, but it's like, okay, all right, let's lay it all up on the table. Are you able to take care of a wife? Okay, you're not. All right, well, then this is how we need to move accordingly, blah, 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 whatever. So you're supposed to vet his mind. You're supposed to vet his bank account and everything else in between. And he's supposed to do the same for you, right? Because we get in relationships, we get caught up on the fluffy stuff. Oh, how I feel. Oh, they just make me feel good. Oh, really? Are you able to take that feel good to pay the mortgage? Or is that just something just for you? You know? Another thing he says, you can't make decisions on that woman's money. And this is the other part of the question. And this is actually a pretty good statement, by the way, Renee. So thank you. He says you can't make decisions on that woman's money. Men, you shouldn't be with a woman who may be making $1 more than you, and she tell you you can't make decisions on my money. That ain't your woman. Why would you want to be with a woman that will subjugate you and humiliate you off of $1? Like, again, people don't really know the meaning of a marriage. When you marry, you are merging things together. It's not, well, I mean, you can have your own bank account, but you're supposed to have, you know, most of the money going into one joint account. So y'all take care of everything. You move as a unit, right? You don't move individually. But I don't know why any man would be with any woman who would sit up and tell him, I'm making all the money. I'm making all the decisions too. And if you don't like it, you can go sleep in the guest room.
And in that bedroom, remember what's the movie? Which Way Is Up? Now take those clothes off and get on your job.
Yeah, you know, go sleep in the guest room on an air mattress. I mean, I'm just saying. And let's see here. And Josh says vows, like the gang and the military vow to obey. It ain't a game. And Leonard says obey has been removed from the vows. Yeah, I've seen people have a lot of issues with obey, but the thing is, and I'm saying this to women, you don't have a problem going to your job and obeying that white man. That white man tell you to jump, you say how high. Matter of fact, he ain't even got to tell you to jump. He gonna do it before he asks you. But then you go home and you have a problem obeying your husband. Now, of course, we're not talking about him like do this, do that, do this, do that. We're talking about when he, says something. Okay, honey, if that's what you think is best, sure, that I it's my pleasure, right? I'm not talking about obeying somebody who's a horrible person. And I hate that we even have to frame that because we just do nowadays. Well, what if he ain't? Well, first of all, sister, if you got with a man that's a bad actor, a bad apple, or whatever he is, that's not his fault. That's yours because you didn't do your proper vetting of him. So you shouldn't even been in a position to have to obey somebody like that in the first place. But I don't have a problem with obey because I would trust that a man that I'm with is going to give me loving instructions, and the other part of that too is, and I hate to say this because I know I get in a lot of trouble sometimes for being honest, but I can only be me. Sometimes when women are told certain things, especially in a relationship, let's say something like with weight, right? Or you getting what's coming out this moo-moo. You supposed to love me for better or worse. And this is the way I'm going to be. If you don't like it, that's too bad, right? Like, okay, I get it. You might have some baby weight or whatever, but you can't tell that man to like that because, you don't want to do what you need to do. So if your man say, hey, baby, I love you, but you're getting a little fluffy around the middle. Oh, for real, I ain't realized that, okay. Let me go try to do something about that, or would you go walking with me? Would you go to the gym with me? Or okay, I'll prepare something a little different, but to get in your feelings about that, don't tell me what to do and all that other stuff. What you going? I'm gonna tell you because like I said, I've learned from a lot of great examples. Women, listen to me when I tell you, okay. When you get on that path of too bad, you better like it, and if you don't like it, as one of my pastors told me years ago, I was in like a meeting for married women. I can't think of the technical name, and the women were having an opportunity to ask all these questions. And one of the sisters at the church, she was like, "Well, what if I don't feel like having sex with him?" Now I know why she asked the question. Because she thought the pastor was going to say, well, girl, you tell him that's too bad. He going to have to wait till you feel like it. She would look. She paused for a second. She said, get in the mood. That's what she said. So what if I'm not in the mood? You better get in the mood. She said, you do whatever you need to do to get in the mood. She said, because sometimes it ain't for you. Sometimes it's for him. She says, and I'm not advocating that anybody cheats. She says, but let's not be mistaken in that when you rob a man of that, y'all married and all of that, you tell him no, you keep denying him, and then he go out there and get it somewhere else. Then you're going to be up here at the church talking about he cheating on me. But then you're going to forget that you sat up and asked this question, well, what if I ain't in the mood? Well, you wasn't in the mood too many times. And I'm not saying it's right that a man cheat, but it's like, you can't tell a man no and then keep telling them no, and then wonder why Barbara Jean up at the job was starting to look good all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying? I know I'll probably get myself.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I keep hearing about this sisterhood, and I'm sure there is a sisterhood, but for a sisterhood, there's a lot of backstabbing going on in the sisterhood. I mean, because you have women that are out there. You got men shouldn't cheat, women shouldn't cheat, but unfortunately, there are women that don't really give a damn if this man is married or whatever he's doing. So is there really a sisterhood? I really don't know.
So I'm sorry. Repeat that again about the question about the sisterhood or the
statement. Well, what I'm saying is, that we keep talking about a sisterhood, but yet you will see women that know that this man might be married or going through marital problems and still will sleep with that man, knowing he might be married or something like that. And like I said, maybe it's a person of low caliber, but if we're supposed to be, together as a group and a people, if more women would stick together and really do what it is and look out for their sister rather than put it out there, I mean, I mean, is there really a sisterhood? I just with so much. It's just hard to say. I'm sure there is in some form.
I definitely get what you're saying. Yeah, the sisterhood should say, "Get out my inbox, sucker." No, I will not entertain you, sucker. You know, the sisterhood should say that. But the sisterhood, I mean, there is one, but sometimes the sisterhood is weak. But I would also challenge the men. You know, if you know your homeboy is out there creeping, especially on a good woman, you need to thump him on the back of his head and say, man, if you don't take yourself home, I'm going to find about 3 or 4 other brothers that love to take your place. See what I'm saying? So if we check each other.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. How many guys that you've talked to that have like told you like, hey, you know, we've talked to this guy or whatever. I'm sure you know some guys that were like, hey, you need to go back to that woman that have said that. There are a few of us that do it.
That go back to the woman?
No, we tell that dude, you a damn fool. You had a good woman or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but y'all need to do it more often, because I know a lot of times that's locker room talk, or y'all at the job, man, you know, there's this big booty, whoopty whoop. And you know, we supposed to meet up, and you be like, man, if you don't take your crusty behind home to your wife who love you, the woman that just packed your lunch, you sitting up here at the lunch table and eating every morsel she sees, and then you talking about getting up with another woman. I'm telling y'all, if y'all men start having those conversations, like, okay, if you don't want her, I know some men who do, then I guarantee you, men would probably start thinking twice about how they behave as well. So I think everybody needs to hold, everybody accountable. But Renee, say, imagine a woman sustaining herself, and you come in trying to take over with $150 for a light bill per month. Yikes. Well, he can't come in and take over nothing if you don't let him. So you as a woman, I'm not saying you, but the woman has a say so in that as well. If you don't want to be with a man that can only pay the light bill, then, don't be with a man that pay the light bill. But my thing is, if we merge in what we got together, especially if that's my husband, then that's our money, regardless of what it is. What we as women love. But see, that's the other thing too. We, as Black women, and I hate to say this, I'm not excusing the Black man, but he has a different set of circumstances. So if a man can take, my thing is, if you can take care of yourself, and we get together and we merge our stuff together, then we can take care of each other. That's how it is. But you can't get into a marriage talking about this, my money. I don't know what you thought. That's probably not gonna work. All right. And hey, Kiki, how are you doing this fine evening? Jai says, sisters are the power, Black power. All right now. Okay. And Miss Sweet, she says, a husband, wife is a choice. Vet your dates first. Yeah, I mean, come on now. Yeah, Donovan, what's behind the booty, fellas? Y'all saw that big giant booty? And now you learning once you got open the curtain. Y'all thought I was gonna say something else. You open the curtain and you got the booby prize. I ain't talking about the boobies. You got the booby prize when you open the curtain. You saw what was behind the booty. It was like, oh man, that's a box of rocks. But it's like, yeah, you got fooled by the big giant booty and all that other stuff. And now she's just that. Brother Samuel said, on the male side, the woman can make more money, and that's okay. However, my goal would be to provide it all. If she's the right complement, that indeed will happen. Yeah, and there's a lot of brothers out there who want to do that or trying very hard to do it. But as I tell my friend Donovan here, he don't want a woman wearing a wig, and I get it, or a weave. But I'm like, sometimes there might be a good woman under that wig. And for the sisters, there might be a good man that can only pay the light bill for $150. But imagine y'all get together, put y'all money together. He might, feel a little bit more motivated or be able to go on and do other things, right? I don't know. I just kind of how I see it. So I never want to throw away a good man over $150 light bill.
Well, Demetra, I will entertain the woman if she owns the weave. If she owns the weave.
What do you mean if she owns the weave?
Remember Ebby K. Williams? If he owns the bus. If she owns the weave.
I think I almost choked on this question here. Donovan and Demetra, both of you have something in common. Why not date after being friends for so many years? I swear for God, we have to address this every time.
I answered him. I said, watch the movie. What's love got to do with it? There's your answer right there.
And I'm never going to deviate from that. I will smother this sucker in his sleep. Okay? Him, the cats, and the dog.
here's the thing: you could smother me, but you know how I'm about my animals. I'll kill everybody for my animals.
So now y'all know how I feel about Donovan, okay? Now Donovan and I are really good friends, and always will be. Okay, let's see here. Ashley, you say I agree. And Miss Sweet, she says, speak on it, Demetra. Do backflips for the boss man. Yeah, you know. And Brother Simon says, wow, just saw a connection to how the powers that be destroy our leaders. It's the same way using false labels and the pocketbook or money to break them. Yeah, I mean, if you're judging somebody's worth, and I ain't talking about their net worth, but their worth as a person by how much money they got in the bank, you probably shouldn't be in a relationship. Now, I get it. There's some financial degenerates out there, you know, who just ain't going to try to do nothing better. Yeah, you probably want to stay away from them. They probably got a lot of growing to do, but there's a lot of good people. And I'm going to tell y'all this right now. Every time I got to walk outside and drag the trash can to the curb, don't y'all ever think for one moment, I don't think, man, it sure would be nice to have a man doing that. Every time I got to roll my sleeves up to do something that I deem to be manly work, don't you ever think I don't think, man, it sure would be nice to have a man around here doing that. You know, I hate taking out the trash. When you ask my daughter, you ask her what is one of the things that she despises, and it's taking out the trash. I hate it. Because I also don't like walking on grass, kind of like have a grass phobia. So I have to walk on grass from my backyard, you know, and pull it through the grass to get to the front. And I'm like, okay, you could do it. But what if I had a man that can do it? You know, so I'm just putting that out there. So if all he can do is pay $150 light bill, but he a good man, come on, boo. Let's put what we got together and we can do some things, you know?
Well, yeah, and isn't that part of the relationship where if a man is lacking and you have a good woman behind you that's encouraging you, that man is going to rise to the challenge to please you. See, that's where the yin and the yang come into it. What he's lacking, you're supposed to say, hey, you could do it, honey, and encourage him and keep him going, and vice versa. If she's going through school and she doesn't want to do this, well, you know, you're supposed to say, hey, baby, you could do that, you know, because the end result is the end. The end part where y'all sitting on the beach and y'all chilling and saying, golly, remember when we were 27 back in 1998 and we were struggling and, you know, we were getting those, you know, we were having cereal every day just to start the day. Yeah, baby, we come a long way, you know. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yep, it is. Miss Lovelace, how you doing? Long time no see. You say, I believe that our Black men nowadays are not receiving a fair share economically, socially, and educationally. I believe a relationship is love, and together the man is supposed to be the leader. Absolutely. I never have had a problem with a man being the leader, because as I said, as a woman, I ain't trying to be leading. Okay, we doing this, we doing that, do this, let's do that. It's time to go. What are you doing? I don't want to be doing that. I want a man to be saying, all right, this is the game plan. This is what we doing. Oh, okay. All right. You know, that's how I see it. I don't see it any other way.
Well, what I don't understand is what woman, well, you know, and some women that are, you know, career oriented, which is there's nothing wrong with that. But if you ladies, if you had a choice between working and going to the mall and raising your kids, coming out of the Mercedes SUV and just walking around the mall, getting back in shape and just shopping, what would you do? I'd take that deal anytime, and I'm a man.
That's what I said too. Shoot, I would love it. You gonna come, I'll be home right on time to make sure you have everything you need. You ain't gonna be like, damn, you been home all day and you ain't even put a grape on the table.
Wait, did I marry Peg Bundy here? What's going on? You know, look. She's got the can of food.
Right. Without the can opener. Facts Not Feeling says if she don't want to get in the mood over and over, another woman will. Yeah, I don't think it's. I think it's pretty logical, right? You're telling him, no, not tonight, not tonight, not tonight either.
Well, Demetra, it's like what you said. Every woman thinks she's got the Midas touch and the platinum putts. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you know, she might.
Black women think that. They think that God broke the mold after they made theirs. That was it.
So as I told y'all, I know an array of people from all walks of life, and I was really good friends with an ex pimp. I met him when I was 23 years old. I met him at work, so I didn't meet him like on the street or nothing like that. Um, and he taught me a lot of things. And he says it's all the same when the lights go out. But you know, like you said, he didn't break the mold when he made yours. But what else do you have other than being able to enjoy his 2 minutes of fun? What else can you do besides just be a big booty? You know what I mean? I don't know. And Black Rain says, real soon the income won't matter. They're about to bring this whole thing down. Then what? Yeah, I agree with you. Fast Not Feeling says most women will sleep with their friends, man. That's a fact. You said a word right there. I know that's right. I do know that's right. Thank you so much, Michael. Love and appreciate you for that. And let's see here. I'm behind in these comments. Let me catch up. Black America says, who can only afford $150 on a light bill? Well, you'd be surprised. Everybody ain't big balling like you, baby. Everybody ain't able. But I get where you're going with that.
I remember in January that light bill for mine was for 1 month, $600 and some dollars. No, that was the gas bill, $600 and some dollars. So, I mean, I'm blessed to cover it, but I'm just thinking when these things happen, people act like a light bill is nothing. Nowadays, that's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you be you lucky to pay, $150 depending on what month it is. I've been fortunate enough here to not pay over $150, even though it's been super hot here. So I don't really run a lot of electricity, so I've been fortunate.
Yeah, Edison, could I make a payment plan, or can I put it on the back end?
Right.
There's a lot of those calls going on. I'm telling you,
man, boy, I remember those days. Listen, can I get about another 2 weeks? Sure. Trust me, I remember those days. I thank God every time I pay my bills, I think about those things. And that really keeps me humble. Like, damn, I remember when I couldn't sit down all at one time and pay all the bills. Because now I pay the bills all at one time on the month. Pay them all, whether they do or not, just pay them. But back in the day, it was like, okay, I'm going to pay this one. Then I'm gonna see if I can get an extension on that one. Then I remember having to, play magic tricks, 3-card money with the bills. I remember that. Being forever says these young women, I need to listen to their great grandmas and grandmas, how they stayed married so long and how their marriage worked. Yeah, the unfortunate part though is the great grandmamas and the mamas, some of them, they're not passing that wisdom down anymore. But I agree with you. And I also want to, add that a lot of times when we talk about our grandmothers and great grandmothers, we just automatically think all of them had a great relationship. I think a lot of them knew how to pick their struggle. A lot of them knew that Buster was cheating. A lot of them know that Buster had a big booty around the corner. They knew that, but they was like, you know what? As long as Buster don't make my household suffer, then he gonna keep living. I know he got something going on, but as long as I don't have to want for nothing or whatever the case is, then so what? But, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling you how a lot of them justified it. I'm not going to leave my man that's, taking care of my needs because he's out there. That's just how a lot of them thought. Because it's like, I leave him, then he end up with her. Then I'm going to be out there on the job stroll trying to work or whatever. So, I don't like it, but I'm not suffering, so whatever. And plus, let him hop up and down on her every night, and I don't have to do it, because Buster probably ain't taking no real good bath no damn way.
Yeah, a lot of women back in the day, what he did in the streets, as long as it stayed in the streets, he didn't bring it home with him. They had no problem. Not that they were, saying it's okay, but the thing was, like you said, hey, I've got kids to raise. I'm focused on getting this, and and making sure everything is dealing with these kids. Keep your stuff out in the streets. Once these kids are done, then we can take care of that. Because a lot of the women, when the kids were grown, that's when they started making decisions on their own, saying, I'm out. They waited till the kids were grown. The women nowadays, and I'm not like trying to be negative toward women, they're not built like the women back in the day. You prioritize your children and your situation rather than going off emotion.
How you doing, Deborah? Exactly. And Miss Lovelace says exactly. Say that again for the people in the back who are behind these comments. He says, "Who cut the grass?" I have a black landscaping gentleman that does come and do the landscaping. I love him dearly. He is the best at it. Would not trade him for anything in the world. So I'll actually pay somebody to do that. So I'm very fortunate in that way. Michael, I saw you say you apologize for asking a question. I don't even know what that is at that point, but if you thought that I took offense to it, I did not. So don't worry about it. Nora says already got my AR, Donovan. I believe you. And Brother Sammy says, by the way, Donovan, I'm proud of your work with Demetra. Keep up the good work, brother. Laugh out loud.
She's stuck in her ways, brother. I gotta grind on her and stuff like, stop with this female stuff. Get in line. What the problem is.
Trust me, my job is a little bit more arduous than his would ever be with me, okay?
I said, I tell it all the time. Watch what love got to do with the end part. The end part.
You're right. The end part. You know what happened at the end, okay? Tina rearranged Ike's understanding of everything. She should have did that in the 1950s, and they, might have made beautiful music together a lot longer. Nora says we have to become one. Anything else won't work. One for all and all for one. I love it. You're absolutely right. And Buckhorse, she says, my granny is 100 years old. Your grandma's 100 years old? Wow. Well, tell her, if that is the case, congratulations on making it that long. That is my goal as well. I want to be 120 though. How you know it?
Yeah, my grandfather's 100 years old. Yeah. And the funny thing is a lot of them, not a lot of people, but you're seeing a lot of people that are living to 100 that are, isn't it funny how those people that are 100 years old, that should be normal nowadays, but why isn't it? Because our vices are just taking us out left and right, where we are dying more at the age of in our 50s, more so than in our 70s and older.
Yeah, I want to be 120, and then I can get me a young tenderoni about the age of 100 or something like that. I'll be a sugar mama. Michael, so I remember the question that you asked about Donovan, and I know it's actually pretty funny. We get to ask that a lot, but it's like if y'all think sometimes we be going at it on here in person, boy, I tell you, I'll be like, this is a special kind of Negro right here.
Yes, you ain't changing my mind. I said what I said.
Right. Right. And I'll be like, this dude gonna be single for a long time. Unless they come out with, those AI wives or something. The only cat Donovan gonna have in his bed is the cats that got 4 legs running around his house. Michael says, Donovan, my friend is twice my age. I called her and she did not pick up. She and I got into an intense conversation.
Age ain't nothing but a number and nothing but a thing.
What is that? The swing version of it? Age ain't nothing but a number.
That's right.
B.F. Ever says, I know back then what got me in trouble was horse race betting and greyhound dog racing betting and the poker games in the back room at the club. Come home, pocket empty. You ain't lying about that?
My dad used to do the horse racing at Santa Anita. He used to do the horse racing and stuff and the greyhound racing at Santa Anita Park.
You ain't lying. She'd be like, he'd be like, I swear I wasn't out there with that woman. I don't care about her. Where the money at? I don't care what you do with her. Just don't come here with no empty pockets no more. I would be, Miss Sweet. At 120, I'd be a younger man, be 100 years old. I'd get him all the Geritol his little heart can handle. I surely would. Yeah, Buckhorse, we getting crazy. Sagittarius got it. Yeah, we about to get out of here because, I'm loopy anyway. Been up. I haven't gotten any sleep at all. Sometimes people call me in the middle of the night and it's my pleasure to, to help and all of that. And so sometimes I don't get a lot of sleep, but I'm going to sleep good tonight. I'm going to take my magnesium and my chamomile tea, and I'm gonna be like a mummy. I'm gonna be out. So anyway, we'll be back here for Wealth Wednesdays with Walter. We got a pretty interesting topic, I think. Also, I am going to be on Ashonda at Large's show right after that. We're going to talk about state of blackness and relationships on her show. So I'll be sure tomorrow to give you guys the link to that so y'all can tune in. I think it's going to be live. If not, I'll tell y'all when it's going to air and all that. But I think it's going to be live. It's going to be interesting, nevertheless. So anyway, love and appreciate every last one of y'all. You guys, please be safe and stay blessed out there. Until tomorrow, peace.